My husband, George, got my friend Rachel pregnant. Why are you looking at me like that? Rachel asked. It's your fault that you're infertile, she said to me. If you want money from me, I can give you $20,000. Will that be enough? Don't come after me just because you're lonely, that would be really annoying. Sorry I took George away from you. We're going to be happy now. You should congratulate us. Rachel smiled and patted her growing belly. As I looked at her big belly, I thought, something doesn't feel right. After thinking for a while, I said, I get it now. What's going on with you? Rachel asked. I smiled to myself because I realized what was really happening. My name is Diana. I live with my husband, George, in a rental apartment. We met at my old job. Even though we worked in different departments, we ended up sitting next to each other at a company party. George is kind and friendly, so I liked him, and he liked me back. We started dating, had some arguments, but after 2 years, we got married. We've been married for 3 years now, but we don't have kids. It's not that we don't want children. We both love the idea of having kids. We talked about it a lot, and we both wanted to start a family. I quit my job to become a housewife, but we still couldn't get pregnant. I knew that having a baby isn't always easy, but it was hard for me when I couldn't get pregnant after trying. It started to wear me down emotionally. On top of that, my mother-in-law, Emily, lives nearby. She would show up at my house uninvited every day, pressuring me to have children. At first, I thought she was a caring mother-in-law, but over time, she became very pushy about me getting pregnant. She would also take my things without asking, complain about the meals I made, and criticize me all the time. One day, she took all my jewelry, bags, and clothes, saying she was helping me clean up. Emily, those are my things. I'm still using them, so please don't take them without asking. What are you talking about? You don't even do your duties as a wife. Aren't you ashamed of buying all these fancy things? I'll use them for you, so be thankful. I feel sorry for George. He was tricked into marrying someone like you. You can't get pregnant, so you're not a good wife. Just leave him and get out of our lives. No matter what I said, Emily wouldn't listen. George didn't stop her and even seemed to agree with her. I wasn't just sitting around doing nothing while they pressured me. I saw a doctor multiple times, and there was nothing wrong with me. I thought maybe something was wrong with George, but he refused to get tested. He believed what his mom said, that infertility was a woman's problem, so things didn't improve. Then, one day, George came home looking serious and told me to sit down. Diana, I need to tell you something. Please listen to me. Why are you acting like this all of a sudden? I was going to make dinner. Does it have to be now? He stopped me before I could head to the kitchen, and he made me sit on the couch. He sat on the floor across from me. After a few seconds of silence, he spoke. Actually, Rachel is pregnant. Please break up with me. If you want money, I can give you $20,000. I'm sure you'll understand. Diana, I've always wanted a child, and like my mom said, I don't want a wife who can't have kids. I couldn't understand what he was saying. All I could say was, huh? I was so shocked, and George repeated himself. So, I'm going to have a baby with Rachel, because you couldn't get pregnant. I feel bad about having a baby with someone else while we're still married, but it is what it is. I'll give you alimony, but you have to know it's all your fault. Diana, if you had gotten pregnant, none of this would have happened. No matter how many times he said it, I couldn't understand what was going on. Is he really an adult? Where did the gentle George the first fell in love with go? I had a headache from everything he was saying, and I finally asked the one question that was bothering me the most. Who's the other girl? How long has this been going on? I asked, feeling confused and hurt. It's Rachel. You know her. She was your old coworker. When I told her you were having trouble getting pregnant, she offered to help. George answered casually, without showing any emotion. Rachel and I started at the company at the same time, and we got along well. She even came to our wedding, and it was Rachel who encouraged me to date you when I wasn't sure if I should, he continued. I was overwhelmed by the betrayal, feeling like everything was falling apart. The doctor said Rachel's having a boy. I'm so excited. I can't wait to play catch and go camping with him when he's older. This is my dream coming true, George said happily, ignoring how hurt I was. Does your mom know about this? I asked, still in shock. He nodded. Of course, I already told her. She's so happy to finally have a grandchild. I'm also getting ready to move in with Rachel. Once you and I divorce, we're moving in together. It seemed like they were already planning as if I would just agree to the divorce. Just then, the doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone, but George hurried to answer it, saying, "Oh, she's here." When he came back, Rachel was right behind him. Rachel was holding onto George's arm, smiling and laughing. "Sorry, Diana, for getting pregnant. George really wanted a child, so I decided to help him. I heard from George that you can't get pregnant, right? Well, that's not your fault, but it's your problem, Diana." Rachel said this while lovingly patting her big belly. "Are you sure the baby in your belly is really George's?" I asked, feeling suspicious. Rachel's nostrils flared as she responded loudly, "Of course, yes, this baby is mine and George's. Don't be sarcastic just because you couldn't get pregnant." Rachel seemed a little uneasy as she said this, but she quickly added, "Yes, it's George's and my baby." "I can't believe you even doubted me," she added. I thought to myself, if that's how it is, then I'll accept the divorce. So, I hired a lawyer and filed for alimony from both of them. Thanks to the lawyer, I was able to get over $20,000 in alimony, and the divorce was finalized quickly. I decided to move back to my parents' house, because I didn't want to be near George and his family. I was confident that the truth would come out soon. A year passed. I found a job after moving back to my parents' house and started living a peaceful life. Over time, I stopped thinking about all the terrible things that happened. One day, I got home from work around 7 p.m. and saw someone hanging around in front of my house. Who could it be? I wondered. As I got closer, they noticed me and called out to me. "Oh, Diana, where were you? I've been waiting for you." It was George and his mother, looking suspicious. They had come without any notice and seemed like they were causing trouble. "What are you two doing here? We're divorced, so we don't have anything to do with each other anymore." I tried to get past them to go inside, but they grabbed my arm to stop me. "What's with your attitude? We came all the way here, so I'm not leaving until you listen to me." George started telling me what happened after the divorce. He complained a lot, but to sum it up, he said Rachel had deceived him. At first, Rachel had been helpful to George and his mother, doing housework and taking care of Emily, but after the baby was born, Rachel changed. She stopped helping with the housework, started shopping online all day, and only took care of the baby when she felt like it. Then there was a problem with the baby. The child didn't look like George at all. Emily got suspicious and secretly had a DNA test done, and it turned out the baby wasn't George's. When George asked Rachel about it, she took the baby and left the next night. I understand what happened, but what does that have to do with me? You said I'm an unfit wife because I couldn't get pregnant, right? I said. Are you still thinking about that? Let's start over. Mom's getting older and it's hard for her to do everything. I quit my job and only work part-time, so we're struggling financially. We're divorced, but we were once a family, so let's help each other out, George said. Apparently, when we got divorced, I had sent a letter to his company about what happened, and it caused rumors, which led to him leaving his job. So now, these two were trying to get me to support them financially. I was shocked and silent, but Emily took advantage of the situation and spoke up. If you're back at your parents' house, you haven't remarried, have you? No one will marry someone like you, except for my son George. Now, pack your things and come with us. It was clear that Emily still thought I was unfit as a wife and was trying to take advantage of me. I thought, it's time to end this. I see, so that's what happened. But wait, you haven't apologized to me. If you get down on your knees and apologize, maybe I'll think about getting back together, I said. George and Emily were both surprised. Emily yelled, "Why should I apologize to you?" But George stopped her. He seemed to realize that this time, he should apologize. He pulled Emily's arm, knelt down, and bowed his head. Emily reluctantly followed and knelt down too. "I'm sorry, please come back. Let's start over. I'm sorry for saying awful things," George said, looking up at me. "Okay, both of you can look up now." They both thought I was going to get back together with George, and Emily smiled when she saw me agreeing. "Well then, let's get back together," George said, but I crossed my arms and pretended to think about it. I've thought about it, but I still don't want to get back with you. It's too bad you both had to apologize to the person you looked down on. You two should just stay together, that's what you deserve, I said. George and Emily were shocked. Their faces turned bright red with embarrassment and anger. I can't believe you tricked us," Emily shouted. "Enough, you're the ones who've done enough. No matter what you say, I'm not getting back with you," I replied, and Emily stepped back. looking scared. Just then, 2 police officers arrived. Apparently, a neighbor saw me being harassed and called them. George and Emily tried to explain, but in the end, they were taken away by the police. After that, they never came to my parents' house again. Rumors said that Rachel's whereabouts were unknown, and George and Emily were struggling financially because they had to pay for the things Rachel bought with George's credit card. They sold their house and were living on George's low-paying job and Emily's part-time work. I later found out where Rachel was. A former co-worker of mine saw Rachel in town. She looked tired, and her face was drawn. She was pushing her son in a stroller with large luggage. I didn't care what happened to Rachel, but I hoped her child was okay. George called me once, and I answered, following my lawyer's advice to not block his calls. "Oh, Diana, it's been a long time. I wanted to tell you something," he said. "We have nothing to talk about anymore," I replied. "Actually, I went to the clinic, and I found out that the reason you couldn't get pregnant was because something was wrong with me. I'm sorry for believing my mom instead of you. I was so stupid. I'm truly sorry," he said. "Even if you understand now, it's too late. Don't contact me again," I told him before hanging up. I wanted George to regret what he'd done to me for the rest of his life. It felt like everything was finally over. After that, I started dating a colleague at work. I told him I was divorced, and he didn't mind at all. We kept dating, and recently, he proposed to me. Of course, I said yes, and he had to transfer for work, so I moved with him to a distant town. This helped me cut ties with George and Emily for good. Now, I'm pregnant with our long-awaited child. Just as my doctor had said, there was nothing wrong with me. My husband is so happy, and he promised to take care of me and our child forever. I want to take care of my child and my husband forever. I'm excited for the happy life ahead of us.
The day I lost everything started like any other Tuesday at Bradley's Bakery. The bell chimed as customers filed in for their morning coffee and pastries, the aroma of fresh-baked bread filling the air. I had no idea my husband was about to destroy 15 years of my family's hard work in less than 15 minutes. I'm Tatum, and until that morning, I thought I knew what betrayal felt like. I was wrong. "Morning, sunshine." Darren's voice carried across the bakery as he strolled in, pristine suit and perfect smile intact. He kissed my cheek, but something felt off. The way he glanced around the shop, like he was cataloguing every detail. "You're here early," I said, sliding a tray of croissants into the display case. "Thought you had that big meeting today." "Oh, I do." He drummed his fingers on the counter. "Actually, that's why I'm here. Your dad around?" Before I could answer, Dad emerged from the kitchen, flour dusting his apron. "Darren, good to see you, son." What happened next plays in my mind like a slow-motion car crash. Darren pulled out a stack of papers, speaking in that smooth voice he used to close deals. "So, I've been looking over the bakery's finances, and I think I've found a solution to your cash flow problems." Dad's face fell. "What cash flow problems?" "The ones I discovered while reviewing your books." Darren's smile never wavered. "You gave me access last month, remember? For that loan application." The rolling pin I was holding clattered to the floor. "What loan application?" "Honey, this is business talk," Darren said, not even looking at me. "Your father and I have been discussing options." "Like hell you have." I stepped between them, but Dad grabbed my arm. "Tatum, wait. Maybe we should hear him out." The next 10 minutes were a blur of legal jargon and thinly veiled threats. Darren had somehow convinced my father that we were on the brink of bankruptcy, which was news to me, considering I handled most of our accounting. He presented a rescue package that would save the bakery, requiring only that we sign over controlling interest to his company, Artemis Eateries. "This is insane," I said, scanning the documents. "Dad, we're not in financial trouble. He's lying." Actually, Darren pulled out another paper. "You are. The health department found several violations last week. Major ones. They're threatening to shut you down." My blood ran cold. "We passed inspection 3 weeks ago." Funny how things change. His eyes met mine, and for the first time, I saw the real Darren, calculating, cold, victorious. "You did this," I whispered. "You set us up. I'm trying to help, he said loudly, for Dad's benefit. Without this deal, you'll lose everything. With it, you keep working here. Same as always, just under better management. Dad's hand shook as he reached for the pen. We don't have a choice, do we? Dad, no, I grabbed his arm. He's stealing our bakery. I'm saving it, Darren corrected. Sign here, please. I watched in horror as my father signed away our legacy. The bakery my grandparents had opened in 1962, where I'd learned to bake my first cookie, where Mum had worked until the day she died, gone with a few strokes of a pen. Darren gathered the papers, tucking them into his briefcase. I'll have my team here this afternoon to begin the transition. Don't worry, you'll both still have jobs. For now. The bell chimed again as he left, leaving behind the scent of his expensive cologne and the ruins of my life. Dad slumped against the counter, looking older than I'd ever seen him. What have I done? He whispered. I couldn't answer. I was already pulling out my phone, calling Avery, my best friend, and the only lawyer I knew. He can't do this, I said when she picked up. There has to be a way to fight it. I'll be there in 20 minutes, she promised. Don't sign anything else. But it was too late. By the time Avery arrived, Darren's legal team had already taken control. Within a week, Dad was retired, with a pittance of a severance package, and I was informed my services were no longer required. The final twist of the knife came that night when I returned home to find Darren packing his bags. You understand, right? He didn't even look guilty. It's just business, nothing personal. I stood in our bedroom doorway watching him fold his designer shirts. How long have you been planning this? Does it matter? He zipped his suitcase. You were never going to be enough, Tatum. The bakery was just the beginning. I'm building an empire. He brushed past me, then paused. Oh, and I'll have my lawyer contact you about the divorce. Try not to make it messy. The front door clicked shut, and I sank to the floor, my world imploding around me. But somewhere in the midst of my tears, something else began to burn. Determination. Darren thought he'd broken me, but he'd just lit a fire. I pulled out my phone again, this time calling Valeria, the restaurateur who'd been trying to hire me for months. Still interested in teaching me the business? I asked when she answered. Always, she said. Why? I smiled through my tears. Because I'm going to need to know everything about running restaurants. Every single thing. You're holding the knife wrong, Valeria said, adjusting my grip for the 100th time. A chef's knife is an extension of your arm, not a weapon. 6 months had passed since I'd lost the bakery, and here I was, starting from scratch in Valeria's upscale Manhattan restaurant. The irony wasn't lost on me. I'd gone from master baker to kitchen novice overnight. Sorry, I muttered, repositioning my fingers. Old habits. Speaking of old habits, Valeria leaned against the prep station. Your ex-husband's new acquisition is making waves. Did you see the article in the Times? My knife slipped, nearly taking off a fingertip. No, I've been avoiding the news. Smart girl, but you should know he's expanding, buying up small restaurants, turning them into chain concepts. People are calling him the fast casual king of New York. I focused on dicing onions, letting their sting excuse the tears in my eyes. Good for him? No, Valeria grabbed my wrist, forcing me to look at her. Not good for him. Good for you. Every empire has weak spots, Tatum. You just need to learn where to look. A commotion from the dining room interrupted us. Chef! One of the servers burst into the kitchen. Levi Hoffman is here again. Valeria cursed under her breath. Third time this week. He's trying to poach my staff. Levi Hoffman, I asked. Rising star in the restaurant world. Aggressive expansion, but quality-focused. Unlike your ex. She straightened her chef's coat. Stay here. Learn something. But I followed her anyway, curious about this rival restaurateur. Through the kitchen door, I watched Valeria approach a tall man in an impeccable suit who was chatting with one of her line cooks. Levi, Valeria's voice could have frozen hell. This is getting old. He turned, flashing a disarming smile. Valeria, Just having a friendly chat with your talented staff. My staff isn't interested in your offers. Actually, the line cook interrupted, I was considering... Marcus, Valeria's tone left no room for argument. Back to work. As Marcus skulked away, Levi's eyes landed on me. New face? Off limits, Valeria snapped. I don't know, I stepped forward, ignoring Valeria's warning look. I might be interested in hearing an offer. Levi's eyebrows shot up. Really? And you are? Tatum, former owner of Bradley's Bakery. Recognition flickered across his face. Ah, Darren's ex. Heard about that mess. He studied me more carefully. Interesting career change. Necessary one, I corrected. Your turn. Why are you really here? He glanced at Valeria, then back to me. Coffee, there's a place around the corner. 20 minutes later, I sat across from Levi in a quiet cafe, watching him doctor his espresso with precise amounts of sugar and cream. So, he said, you're learning the restaurant business to get back at Darren. I didn't say that. You didn't have to. He leaned back. Look, I respect revenge as much as the next person, but you're going about it wrong. I'm not. Save it. He pulled out his phone, showing me a spreadsheet. Darren's expanding too fast, taking on too much debt. His concepts are flashy, but shallow. In 18 months, maybe 24, it'll all start falling apart. I stared at the numbers. How do you know this? Because I've been watching him, waiting. Levi's smile turned predatory. And now I'm wondering if you'd like to help speed up the process. Why would you want my help? Because you know his weaknesses, and because watching him lose everything to his ex-wife would be... He sipped his coffee. Poetic. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed. A text from Avery. Turn on the news now. Levi noticed my expression change. Problem? I pulled up a news site, and there it was. Artemis Eateries announces IPO plans. Darren Holmes set to take company public. Well, Levi said, reading over my shoulder, that changes things. How so? Because now there's a clock ticking. Once he goes public, taking him down becomes much harder. He pulled out a business card. I'm offering you a job, Tatum. Real responsibility, real learning opportunity, but you need to decide fast. I thought about Valeria, who'd given me a chance when I needed it most. I can't just... Yes, you can. He stood up. Call me by tomorrow if you want in. Oh, and Tatum... He paused at the door. The knife skills will come. Focus on learning the business side. That's where wars are really won. I sat there long after he left, turning his card over in my hands. Finally, I called Valeria. He offered you a job, didn't he? She said before I could speak. Yes. She sighed. Take it. Levi's an ass, but he's brilliant at business, and that's what you need right now. You're not mad? Mad? Honey, I'm proud. You're finally thinking like a shark instead of a minnow. She paused. Just promise me one thing? What's that? When you take Darren down, make it spectacular. Some of us will want front row seats. I smiled, already dialing Levi's number. That's a promise I intend to keep. You're not going to believe this. Avery burst into my office at Levi's restaurant group, waving her tablet. Artemis Eateries is in trouble. I looked up from the financial reports I'd been studying for the past year. What kind of trouble? The delicious kind. She perched on my desk, pulling up an article. Their IPO filing revealed some interesting numbers. Their growth isn't what Darren's been claiming. 3 of their newest locations are hemorrhaging money. Show me. I grabbed the tablet, scanning the figures. After 18 months working under Levi, I could read between the lines of financial statements. What I saw made me smile. Their debt-to-equity ratio is insane, I muttered. He's been borrowing against future earnings that don't exist. Exactly. Avery grinned. The stock price is tanking before they even go public. Investors are pulling out. My phone buzzed, Levi calling. Did you see? I asked when I picked up. Get to my office, now. 10 minutes later, I sat across from Levi, watching him pace. This is our moment, he said. Darren's vulnerable. His investors are spooked. He needs a white knight. And you want to be that knight? He stopped pacing. No, I want you to be. I blinked. What? Think about it. You've learned every aspect of this business. You've turned around 3 failing restaurants in the past year. Your name carries weight now. But I don't have that kind of capital. No, he sat down, sliding a folder across his desk. But I do, and I'm willing to back you. I opened the folder to find acquisition papers. You want me to buy Artemis Eateries? I want us to buy it together. You'll be the face of the deal. I'll be the silent partner. You get controlling interest. I get a healthy return on investment. He leaned forward. Plus, I get to watch Darren Holmes sell his company to his ex-wife. That's worth the price of admission alone. My hands shook as I read the terms. This is real? Very, but we need to move fast. Word is Darren's meeting with other potential buyers next week. I pulled out my phone, dialing Avery. How quickly can you review an acquisition proposal? Give me an hour, she said after I explained the situation. And Tatum, this is it. This is your chance. The next few days passed in a blur of meetings, paperwork, and sleepless nights. Levi's team worked around the clock, preparing our offer. Finally, we were ready. Remember, Levy said as we walked into the Artemis Eateries headquarters, let me do the talking. You're just here as my restaurant operations expert. The conference room was packed with executives, lawyers, and one very nervous-looking Darren. He did a double take when he saw me. What is she doing here? He demanded. Ms. Bradley is my chief operations officer, Levi said smoothly. Her experience in restaurant turnarounds is crucial to our proposal. I sat silently, watching Darren squirm as Levi presented our offer. It was generous enough to be tempting, but structured to give us complete control. This is ridiculous, Darren interrupted halfway through. We have other interested parties. Who? Levi asked. The Singapore group that pulled out yesterday? Or the private equity firm that's lowballing you? He smiled. Face it, Darren, we're your best option. One of the board members cleared his throat. Mr. Holmes, he's right. We need to consider this offer seriously. The meeting dragged on for hours. I watched Darren's facade crack bit by bit as his board members and lawyers increasingly sided with our proposal. Finally, they called for a brief recess. Darren cornered me in the hallway. What are you playing at? Playing? I'm not playing anything. I'm doing business. I met his gaze steadily. Isn't that what you taught me? It's nothing personal. His face reddened. You think you can run my company? Better than you have. I stepped closer. Your books are a mess, Darren. Your concepts are stale. You've been so focused on expansion that you forgot about quality, just like you did with the bakery. The bakery was failing. The bakery was fine until you fabricated health violations and manipulated my father. I kept my voice low, controlled. You wanted an empire. Congratulations. You built one on sand and now it's crumbling. The board members filed back in before he could respond. I took my seat, watching as they announced their decision to accept our offer, pending final negotiations. Levi shook hands with everyone while I gathered my papers. As we left, I paused at the door. Oh, Darren, I turned back. Don't worry, I'll have my lawyer contact you about the transition. Try not to make it messy. Outside, Levi burst out laughing. That was beautiful. Did you see his face? But I wasn't celebrating yet. We still have to turn these restaurants around. We will. He hailed a cab. But first, we're going to celebrate. Dinner at Valeria's? I nodded, finally allowing myself to smile. Perfect. I hear she makes an excellent revenge dish, served cold. All rise. The boardroom fell silent as I walked in, heels clicking against the polished floor. 30 pairs of eyes followed me to the head of the table. Executives, managers, and district supervisors of Artemis Eateries, all waiting to meet their new CEO. Good morning, I said, remaining standing. I'm Tatum Bradley. As of 9 a.m. today, I'm your new chief executive. A murmur rippled through the room. I spotted Darren at the far end, arms crossed, jaw clenched. He was required to stay on as a consultant during the transition, a detail I'd specifically requested in the contract. Let's address the elephant in the room, I continued. Yes, I'm Darren's ex-wife. No, this isn't about revenge. I paused. This is about survival. Your jobs, this company's future, depend on what happens in the next 6 months. I clicked through my presentation, displaying graphs of plummeting profits and rising costs. These numbers tell a story. It's not a happy one. With all due respect, a middle-aged manager interrupted, we've been hitting our growth targets. Through unsustainable expansion and cost-cutting, I finished for him. When was the last time you ate at one of our restaurants, Mark? He shifted uncomfortably. Last month. Try again. Our records show you haven't used your employee meal benefit in over 6 months. Neither have most of you. I looked around the room. You don't eat at your own restaurants. That's problem number 1. Darren stood up. This is absurd. Our concepts are... Failing, I cut him off. Sit down, Darren. You're here to observe, not speak. The room tensed as we stared each other down. Finally, he sat, his face flushed with anger. Here's what's going to happen, I continued. Every executive in this room will spend the next week working in our restaurants. Front of house, back of house, every position. You'll eat every item on the menu. You'll talk to customers. Then we'll meet again. That's not in our contracts, someone protested. Your contracts are being revised. Those who don't wish to participate can submit their resignations by end of day. The room erupted in whispers. I waited them out. One more thing, I added. We're reopening Bradley's Bakery. Now Darren did jump up. You can't do that. The lease? The lease transferred with the acquisition. I smiled. You really should read contracts more carefully, Darren. Meeting adjourned. I gathered my papers as the room cleared out, executives muttering among themselves. Darren lingered, waiting until we were alone. You're going to destroy everything I built, he said. No, I'm going to fix what you broke. I met his eyes. Starting with the bakery. This is about your father, isn't it? This is about doing business right. I walked to the door, then turned back. By the way, you start at the downtown Brooklyn location tomorrow, 6 a.m. sharp. The manager there runs a tight ship. I'm not working in a restaurant kitchen. Then clear out your office by 5. I checked my watch. I have another meeting. Don't be late tomorrow. In the elevator, my hands finally started shaking. Avery was waiting in my new office. How'd it go? She asked. About as expected. I collapsed into my chair. Half of them will probably quit. Good. Fresh blood is exactly what you need. She handed me a coffee. Your father called, by the way. He saw the news about the bakery. My stomach tightened. What did he say? He wants to meet. Says he has some ideas about the reopening. Tears pricked at my eyes. Dad hadn't baked since the day we lost the bakery. Tell him yes, whenever he wants. My phone buzzed. Levi texting, watching the stock price climb. Well done, partner. Another buzz. Valeria. Dinner tonight. We need to celebrate properly. A knock at the door interrupted my replies. Jennifer, Darren's sister, stood there looking uncertain. Can we talk? She asked. I gestured to a chair. Of course. Avery excused herself as Jennifer sat down. I know Darren hurt you, she said, but these people, their jobs, are safer with me than they were with him, I finished. I'm not here to destroy the company, Jennifer. I'm here to save it. By forcing executives to work in kitchens. By reminding everyone what this business is really about. Food, service, people. I leaned forward. Stay. Help me fix this. You've always seen the problems your brother couldn't. She studied me for a long moment. The bakery. Will you really reopen it? Come see for yourself. I stood up. I'm heading there now to check on renovations. Jennifer hesitated, then nodded. Okay, show me. As we rode to Brooklyn, I thought about all the pieces falling into place. The bakery would rise again, but this time, as the heart of something bigger, something better. Darren had taught me about empire building, but he'd forgotten the most important lesson. Empires built on greed collapse. Empires built on quality endure. Tomorrow, Darren would learn that lesson the hard way, starting with a 6 a.m. shift in his own failing restaurant. "Is this live?" I asked, staring at my phone screen where a viral video was playing. It showed Darren, still in his expensive suit, having a meltdown in one of our restaurant kitchens. "Oh, it's live," Avery confirmed, barely containing her glee. "And trending. Our restaurant Karen is currently number 3 on Twitter." In the video, Darren was red-faced, jabbing his finger at a teenage line cook. "Do you know who I am? I built this company." "Sir," the cook replied calmly, "the dishes still need to be washed. Company policy says everyone helps during rush hour." "I'm not touching those dishes. Get a dishwasher." "We're short-staffed because corporate cut our labor budget last month. Your policy, sir." I watched as Darren stormed out, knocking over a stack of clean plates in the process. The video ended with the line cook looking directly at the camera and deadpanning. "Thanks, corporate." 3 million views and counting, Avery said. "The comments are brutal." My phone rang. "Jennifer." "Have you seen—" "I'm watching it now," I said. "He's completely lost it. He's at my apartment ranting about how you set him up. I didn't set up anything. He did this to himself." I paused. "Is he drinking?" "Yeah. And he's talking about going to the press, exposing some truth about you." I smiled. "Perfect. Let him." "Perfect. Tatum, what are you planning?" "Just make sure he stays angry, and keep recording if he says anything interesting." After hanging up, I turned to Avery. "Time for phase 2? She nodded, pulling out a folder. The audit results came back. "You're going to love this." 2 hours later, I sat in my office with a reporter from the Wall Street Journal. "These documents show systematic mismanagement under the previous leadership," I explained, sliding over the audit reports. "Cost-cutting that compromised food safety, labor law violations, even evidence of supplier kickbacks." The reporter's eyes widened as she read. "This is comprehensive. We're implementing immediate changes," I continued, "starting with restoring proper staffing levels and quality standards. The previous management's focus on rapid expansion led to these issues." "Speaking of previous management," she looked up, "your ex-husband's video is causing quite a stir." "Yes, it's unfortunate, but it illustrates exactly why we're making these changes. Every executive is required to work in our restaurants now. Some are adapting better than others. And the bakery reopening, that's your family's original business, correct?" "It is. We're returning to our roots: quality food, fair treatment of workers, sustainable growth." I smiled. "Would you like to see it? The renovation is almost complete." The bakery was buzzing with activity when we arrived. Dad was there, supervising the installation of new ovens. "This is where it all started," he told the reporter, pride evident in his voice. "And where it's starting again, thanks to my daughter." The reporter scribbled notes as Dad showed her around, explaining our vision for combining traditional baking with modern restaurant concepts. I stepped outside to take a call from Levi. "Your ex is on CNBC right now," he said, making a complete fool of himself. I pulled up the live stream. Darren was sweating under the studio lights, his tie askew. "She's destroying everything," he was saying. "She's turned my own sister against me. She's spreading lies." "Mr. Holmes," the anchor interrupted, "your former company's stock has risen 15% since Ms. Bradley took over. The market seems to approve of her changes." "The market doesn't understand. She's—" He stopped, seeming to realize how he sounded. "This is a personal vendetta. Is that why you're here instead of working your scheduled shift at your former restaurant?" The anchor's tone was devastating. "We have reports you walked out mid-service, leaving your staff short-handed." I ended the stream, turning back to the bakery. Through the window, I could see Dad teaching the reporter how to properly shape a croissant, his hands moving with the confidence I remembered from childhood. My phone buzzed with a text from Jennifer. "He's completely melting down. talking about leaving the country. Don't let him, I replied. The board still has questions about those supplier contracts he signed. Another buzz. Valeria this time. Just saw CNBC. Karma's a beautiful thing, isn't it? I watched Dad laugh at something the reporter said and felt a warmth that had nothing to do with revenge. This was about more than getting even. This was about rebuilding something real, something lasting. The reporter emerged, tucking away her notebook. One last question, she said. What would you say to those who claim this is just about revenge? I looked through the window again, at Dad showing a young baker how to use our old family recipes. Revenge is about destroying things, I said. This is about creating something better from the ashes. That's not revenge, that's redemption. She nodded, understanding. The story runs tomorrow. Perfect timing, I smiled, just in time for the bakery's grand reopening. And Darren's final fall from grace, the Wall Street Journal article hit like a bomb. I sat in the newly renovated Bradley's bakery, watching the fallout unfold on my laptop while the smell of fresh bread filled the air. Board members demand investigation into former CEO's practices, one headline screamed. Restaurant empire's dark underbelly exposed, declared another. My phone hadn't stopped ringing since dawn. I ignored most calls, but answered when Jennifer's name flashed on the screen. He's gone, she said without preamble. Cleared out his apartment overnight, left his phone behind. I closed my eyes. Any idea where? Probably Dad's place in the Hamptons. He always runs there when things get bad. She paused. Tatum, I know he deserved this, but he's your brother, I finished. I get it. Do you? Because this morning's article, it's not just Darren who looks bad. Dad's reputation is ruined too. The bell above the bakery door chimed. I looked up to see Clifford, Darren's father, walking in. He looked older than his 60 years, defeated. Jennifer, I'll call you back. Clifford stood before the counter, taking in the renovated space. Looks different, he said finally. Better different or worse different. Just different. He met my eyes. Like everything else these days. I gestured to a table. Coffee? He nodded, sinking into a chair while I brought over 2 cups and a plate of fresh croissants. We sat in silence for a moment, the morning sunlight streaming through the windows. You've destroyed my family's name, he said finally. Your son destroyed it himself. I just exposed the truth. The truth? He laughed bitterly. The truth is, I pushed him too hard, expected too much, made him think success was everything. I hadn't expected this. Anger, yes. Threats, probably, but not. Regret. You raised him to be ruthless, I said. He learned that lesson well. I raised him to be successful. Clifford stared into his coffee. I never taught him to be cruel. That part. He shook his head. That's on him. The bakery was filling up with morning customers. I watched them line up, chatting and laughing, completely unaware of the drama unfolding at our table. What do you want, Clifford? Want? He looked around the bakery again. I want to understand something. You've won. You've taken everything from him. Why reopen this place? Because this place matters. I broke a croissant in half, the buttery layers perfectly flaky. Every recipe here has a story. Every customer is part of our community. Darren never understood that. He saw numbers, not people. And you see both, Clifford said slowly. That's why you're succeeding where he failed. My phone buzzed. Levi texting. Board meeting in an hour. They want to discuss pressing charges. Are you going to have him arrested? Clifford asked, reading my expression. That depends on him. I met his gaze. The supplier kickbacks, the health code violations, those are serious charges. But if he cooperates with the investigation, tells the truth, you'd show mercy after everything? Not mercy, justice. I stood up. Find him, Clifford. Tell him he has 24 hours to come forward voluntarily. After that, it's out of my hands. Clifford rose slowly. You're a better person than we deserved, Tatum. This isn't about being better, it's about being right. After he left, I called Jennifer back. Dad was just here, I said. I know. He texted me. She sounded tired. You're really giving Darren a chance to come clean? Yes, but Jennifer... I paused. Make sure he understands this is his last chance. I will. She hesitated. Thank you. I ended the call and walked behind the counter. Dad was there, teaching a new baker our signature sourdough technique. Everything okay? He asked, noting my expression. I don't know. I picked up an apron. Did I go too far? He considered this while shaping a loaf. Remember what Mom used to say about bread? The right amount of heat makes it rise. Too much burns it to ash. Exactly. He smiled. You applied just enough heat, honey. Now let's see if he rises or burns. The morning rush picked up, and I lost myself in the rhythm of the bakery, taking orders, greeting regulars, making change. This was real. This mattered. My phone buzzed again, Avery this time. Police just called. Darren's at the station, ready to talk. I looked around the bakery, at the life and warmth filling the space that Darren had once tried to destroy. He'd thought taking it would break me. Instead, it had made me stronger, taught me the difference between revenge and justice. Tell them I'll be there in an hour, I texted back. Some things are more important than watching someone fall. I turned back to the customers, to the smell of fresh bread and coffee, to the sound of laughter and conversation. This was my empire now, built not on greed and betrayal, but on quality and community, and unlike Darren's, it would last. He's ready to see you, the detective said, leading me down a sterile hallway to an interview room. Through the window, I could see Darren sitting alone at a table, his designer suit wrinkled, his face unshaven. Remember, Avery whispered beside me, let him talk. The more he says, the better our position. I nodded, took a deep breath and walked in. Darren didn't look up. You look terrible, I said, sitting across from him. Spending the night in a holding cell will do that. His voice was hoarse. Happy now? No. I placed a file on the table. But we can end this today if you're ready to be honest. He finally met my eyes. Honest about what? How you orchestrated my downfall? How about we start with the health inspector you bribed to shut down the bakery? His jaw tightened. You can't prove that. Actually, I pulled out a document. He's already given a statement, along with 3 of your former suppliers who admitted to the kickback scheme. They're lying. Are the bank records lying too? I slid over another paper. Or the emails, or the surveillance footage. Color drained from his face as he scanned the evidence. How did you find it all? I learned from the best, remember? You taught me to be thorough. I leaned forward. But unlike you, I'm offering a way out. What way out? You've already won. Taken everything. Sign a full confession, pay back the money you stole, testify against the others involved. I tapped the file. Do that, and I'll recommend no jail time. He laughed bitterly. Why would you do that? Because Jennifer asked me to. I watched his expression change at his sister's name. She still believes there's something worth saving in you. The door opened and Jennifer walked in. Darren straightened immediately, trying to smooth his rumpled appearance. Jen, you shouldn't be here. Someone has to talk sense into you. She sat beside me. The evidence is overwhelming, Darren. Take the deal. It's not that simple. Yes, it is. Jennifer's voice cracked. For once in your life, do the right thing. Silence filled the room. I could almost see the wheels turning in Darren's head, calculating angles, looking for escape routes. Dad's reputation, he said finally. This will destroy him. Dad destroyed himself, Jennifer replied. Just like you did. But he's ready to face it. Are you? Darren slumped in his chair, the fight draining out of him. I never meant for it to go this far. Tell me something, I said. The bakery, why? You already had success. Why did you need to take it? He was quiet for a long moment. Because you loved it more than me. The simple honesty of his answer hit me like a physical blow. You were building this empire, he continued, and the bakery was just this small, comfortable thing. I thought if I took it, made it part of something bigger. He shook his head. I wanted you to see what I could create. Instead, you destroyed everything we had. I know. He reached for the confession papers. What happens after I sign? You step down from all remaining positions, pay restitution, give a full statement to the authorities. I slid him a pen. And then you get help, Darren. Real help. And the company? We'll continue without you. We're already turning things around. He picked up the pen, then paused. The old recipes, Mom's cinnamon rolls, the sourdough method. You're still using those? Of course. Some things shouldn't change. He signed the papers, his hand shaking slightly. Jennifer reached across and squeezed his arm. I'll have someone drive you home, I said, gathering the documents. Get some rest. Your lawyer will contact you about next steps. At the door, he called out, Tatum. I turned back. The bakery. You've made it better than it ever was. Even before. I know. I met his eyes one last time. Goodbye, Darren. Outside, Avery was waiting with the detective. He signed. I handed over the confession. Everything you need is there. My phone buzzed, Dad texting, afternoon rush starting, could use your help if you're done saving the world. Go, Avery said, reading over my shoulder. I'll handle the rest here. The drive back to Brooklyn felt longer than usual. By the time I walked into the bakery, the line was out the door. Dad was at the counter, flour on his apron, smile on his face. Perfect timing, he said, tossing me an apron. These good people need their bread. I tied on the apron, breathing in the familiar scents of yeast and butter. Through the window, I could see the afternoon sun painting the street gold. Customers chatted while they waited, the buzz of community filling the space. This was what winning really felt like, not destroying an enemy, but building something worth fighting for. Coming right up, I called to the waiting customers, rolling up my sleeves. There was work to be done, and I was ready to do it. Ready? Dad asked, adjusting his tie in the bakery's front window. Almost. I placed the last fresh-baked loaf in the display case. The morning sun caught the golden crust, making it glow. Perfect. Outside, a small crowd had gathered. Customers, reporters, and food critics, all waiting for our grand reopening ceremony. But this wasn't just about the bakery anymore. They're here, Avery called from the door. Levi and Valeria walked in, followed by Jennifer. No, Darren, I asked her quietly. She shook her head. He's still at the treatment center, but he sent this. She handed me a card. Inside, his familiar handwriting. Build it better than I ever could. Time to start, Levi said, checking his watch. You ready to announce the foundation? I nodded, straightening my jacket. We'd planned this carefully. The bakery's reopening would also launch the Fresh Start Foundation, providing training and support for small food businesses. Funded by the restitution money from Darren's case, it felt like the perfect way to close this chapter. Dad opened the doors, and the crowd flowed in. Cameras flashed as I stepped behind the counter. Not a podium, but the place where I felt most at home. Welcome to Bradley's Bakery, I began. Some of you might remember this place. Some of you might have read about its story. But today isn't about the past. I gestured to the walls, where photos hung showing the bakery's history, from my grandparents' opening day to my parents' wedding, to me as a child covered in flour. This place taught me something important. Success isn't just about profit margins or market share. It's about community, about creating something that matters. Valeria stepped forward, carrying a tray of fresh pastries. Which is why today, we're not just reopening a bakery, we're launching something new. I explained the foundation's mission, while Dad and Jennifer distributed bread samples. The reporters scribbled notes as I detailed our plans to help other small businesses avoid the pitfalls we'd faced. The first grant, I announced, will go to rebuilding Mario's Pizzeria in Queens, which nearly closed last month due to corporate pressure. Mario himself stepped forward, tears in his eyes. This will save my family's business, he said. Thank you. As the crowd mingled and celebrated, Levi pulled me aside. The board approved the restructuring plan. Artemis Eateries will be officially renamed next week. Good. I watched Dad teaching Mario's teenage son how to properly shape a pizza crust. Some traditions deserve to survive. Speaking of survival, Avery joined us. The prosecutor called. Darren's making good progress. His therapist thinks he'll be ready for outpatient treatment soon. And the company? Levi asked. Growing steadily, I said, but sustainably this time. Quality over quantity. The bell above the door chimed and Clifford walked in. He looked uncertain until Jennifer waved him over. I wasn't sure I should come, he said. Of course you should. I handed him a warm cinnamon roll. Mom's recipe. Your favorite, if I remember right. He took a bite, closing his eyes, just like she used to make. Some things don't need improving, Dad said, joining us. Just protecting. The morning passed in a blur of interviews, handshakes, and countless cups of coffee. Finally, as the crowd thinned, I found myself alone behind the counter, watching the last customers leave. Quite a change from that Tuesday morning when everything fell apart, Avery said, perching on a stool. Everything didn't fall apart, I corrected. It just got rebuilt stronger. My phone buzzed. A text from Darren's treatment center. Your brother-in-law asked us to share his progress report. 90 days sober, making amends. Good news? Avery asked, noting my smile. Getting there. I put the phone away. Hey, want to learn how to make sourdough? Dad's teaching a class tonight. Me? Baking? She laughed. I burn microwave popcorn. Everyone starts somewhere. I tossed her an apron. That's kind of the point of all this. The afternoon light slanted through the windows, catching the Fresh Start Foundation banner hanging above the door. Outside, life flowed past, people hurrying to meetings, couples walking hand in hand, kids racing home from school. Inside, the smell of fresh bread filled the air, warm and promising. Dad was showing Jennifer how to score the perfect crosshatch pattern on a loaf. Valeria and Levi argued playfully about the best way to knead dough. Even Clifford had rolled up his sleeves, flour dusting his expensive shirt. This was what winning really looked like. Not destroying an enemy or building an empire, but creating a space where broken things could be made whole again, where every day brought a fresh start, a new chance to rise. I picked up a bag of flour, ready to begin the evening's lessons. Okay, everyone. First rule of sourdough, patience. Good things take time. And time, I'd learned, had a way of making things right.
The phone buzzed against my desk, its screen lighting up with an unknown number. My heart skipped as I glanced between it and the damning documents spread across my computer screen. Someone knew. They had to. I'm Samantha, and until that moment, I was just another corporate drone at Quinn Enterprises, working beneath the watchful eye of my Uncle Connor. Family business, the kind where secrets stay buried and loyalty means everything. Or at least that's what I thought until 10 minutes ago. Hello? I answered, my voice steadier than I felt. Silence. Then a click. My hands trembled as I returned to the spreadsheets I'd discovered buried in our company's archived files. The numbers didn't lie. Millions in unexplained transfers, shell companies, and what looked suspiciously like money laundering. My cousin Caleb's digital fingerprints were all over it. Hey, Sam, got a minute? Sophia's head popped around my office door. My colleague's usually cheerful face was drawn with concern. Connor's looking for you. Something about the quarterly reports? I quickly minimized the screen. Thanks, I'll head up soon. Everything okay? You look like you've seen a ghost. I'm fine, I lied, gathering my thoughts. Just processing some numbers. She lingered in the doorway. Listen, if you need someone to talk to... I said I'm fine, I snapped, then immediately regretted it. Sorry, Sophia. It's been a long day. After she left, I pulled up my email and started drafting a message to the SEC. My finger hovered over the send button as memories flooded back. Family dinners, Christmas mornings, my uncle's proud smile when he'd hired me fresh out of college. but then I remembered the conversations I'd overheard, the way Caleb had been acting lately, the unexplained luxury cars and vacation homes. My phone buzzed again. This time, a text from my sister Vivienne. "Dinner at Mom's tonight. Don't forget." I closed my eyes, knowing this might be the last normal family dinner I'd ever attend. The evidence was irrefutable. The company my grandfather had built from nothing had become a front for something corrupt, something ugly. "Samantha?" Uncle Connor's voice boomed from my doorway, making me jump. "There you are, coming up to review those reports?" I forced a smile, minimizing windows on my screen. "Of course, just finishing something up." He stepped into my office, his presence filling the room like it always had. "Everything all right? You seem distracted lately." "Just busy," I said, standing up. "Lots to process." "That's my girl, always the dedicated one." He clapped a hand on my shoulder. "Unlike your cousin. Between us, Caleb's been worrying me lately. Maybe you could talk to him." The irony wasn't lost on me. "I'll try." I lied again, feeling sick to my stomach. As we walked to his office, my phone buzzed one more time. Another unknown number, this time with a message. "I know what you found. Meet me at Carter's coffee shop tomorrow at 8 a.m. if you want to do the right thing." "Important message?" Connor asked, noticing my expression. I shook my head, pocketing the phone. "Just spam." In his office, surrounded by photos of our family, including one of me at my college graduation, beaming between him and Caleb, I made my decision. The SEC email sat in my drafts folder, waiting. Family meant everything, but so did integrity. Sometimes doing the right thing meant being willing to burn it all down. "Uncle Connor," I said, interrupting his monologue about quarterly projections, "have you ever had to choose between loyalty and truth?" He paused, studying me with those sharp eyes that had always seemed to see right through me. "Interesting question. Why do you ask?" "Just thinking about grandfather, I guess, about his legacy." Connor's expression softened. "He built this company on trust, Samantha, on family, never forget that." I nodded, feeling the weight of my USB drive in my pocket, loaded with copies of everything I'd found. "I won't." That evening, after everyone else had left the office, I sent the email. Then I drove to my mother's house for dinner, knowing it would be the last time I'd be welcome there. As I pulled into the driveway, my phone buzzed one final time. The unknown number again? "See you tomorrow. Bring everything you have. And Samantha? Be careful who you trust." I deleted the message, straightened my shoulders, and walked inside to face my family. For now, I was still one of them. By this time tomorrow, I'd be the traitor who destroyed everything they held dear. But sometimes, I reminded myself, destruction is necessary for rebirth. 2 weeks after I sent that email, my world imploded. I was in my apartment when the news broke. Caleb's arrest plastered across every local news channel. The footage showed him being let out of Quinn Enterprises in handcuffs, his designer suit wrinkled, his face a mask of rage. My phone started ringing immediately. "Vivienne." "What did you do?" Her voice cracked with fury. "Tell me you didn't do this to our family." "Viv, don't. Just don't." Mom's crying. "Uncle Connor is... I've never seen him like this. How could you?" The line went dead before I could respond. Within minutes, my social media exploded with notifications. Family members unfriending me, blocking me. Messages ranging from disappointed to threatening. A knock at my door made me jump. Through the peephole, I saw Sophia, looking nervous. "You shouldn't be here," I said, letting her in. "They'll figure out you helped me." They already did. She held up her phone, showing me an email. "I've been fired, along with anyone they suspect might have known about the investigation." "I'm so sorry." "Don't be. I knew what I was getting into." She sat on my couch, running fingers through her hair. "But Samantha, there's something else. Something about Caleb's arrest doesn't add up." My TV was still playing the news coverage. Uncle Connor stood at a podium outside the company building, his face grave. "This betrayal," His voice boomed through my speakers. Comes not just from federal authorities, but from within our own family. My niece Samantha has chosen to destroy everything we've built. She has fabricated evidence against her own cousin, manipulated data, and... I switched it off, hands shaking. He's lying. I didn't fabricate anything. I know, Sophia said quietly. But that's not what I mean. The transactions you found? They were backdated. Someone wanted you to find them. My doorbell rang again. This time it was Aunt Melina, Caleb's mother. When I opened the door, her hand cracked across my face before I could speak. You vindictive little snake, she hissed. My son is in jail because of you. Your son is in jail because he broke the law. I shot back, touching my stinging cheek. Or did you think those millions appeared by magic? You have no idea what you've done. Her voice dropped to a whisper. No idea what's really going on. But you will. When everything falls apart, remember this moment. Remember you caused it. After she left, Sophia helped me pack a bag. You can't stay here, she insisted. They know where you live and they're out for blood. I'm not running away. It's not running away, it's being smart. Besides, she smiled grimly, don't you have a meeting to get to? I looked at her sharply. How did you... The coffee shop messages. That was Abel Taylor. He's a lawyer I know, specializes in corporate whistleblower cases. He's been building a case against Quinn Enterprises for months. You just gave him the final pieces. My phone buzzed with a text from Vivian. Uncle Connor is having an emergency board meeting. They're voting to freeze your shares in the company. Hope you're happy with yourself. I smiled, despite everything. They didn't know about the new company I'd quietly registered last month, or the clients I'd been courting. They thought they were cutting me off, but I was already 10 steps ahead. Tell Abel I'll meet him tomorrow, I told Sophia. Right now I have another stop to make. The prison visiting area was cold and sterile. Caleb sat across from me, his eyes hollow. Come to gloat? He spat. Come to understand. Those transactions were backdated, Caleb. Someone set you up and I think you know who. His face went pale. Get out. Who are you protecting? What are you afraid of? I said get out. He stood up so fast his chair clattered backward. Guards move forward. You think you're so righteous, but you have no idea what you've started. When it all comes out, they dragged him away before he could finish, but his words echoed in my head all the way to my hotel room. As I checked in under a false name, my phone lit up with one last message from an unknown number. Smart move, getting out of your apartment. Tomorrow, 8 a.m. I'll show you how deep this really goes. Abel. I stared out the hotel window at the city lights, thinking about Caleb's face, Aunt Melina's words, Uncle Connor's lies. Someone had orchestrated this whole thing, using me as their unwitting pawn. But they'd underestimated me. They thought they'd destroyed me, but they'd only set me free. Carter's coffee shop buzzed with morning activity as I spotted a man in a crisp navy suit, sitting alone with 2 coffee cups in front of him. He stood as I approached, extending his hand. Abel Taylor, he said warmly, though I suppose you figured that out already. The mysterious texter himself. I sat down, accepting the coffee he pushed toward me. So why all the cloak and dagger routine? Because walls have ears, especially at Quinn Enterprises. He pulled out a tablet, sliding it across the table. Take a look at this. The screen showed a complex web of transactions, but these were different from the ones I'd found. These went back years, involving companies I'd never heard of. Your cousin Caleb? Abel leaned forward. He's just a fall guy. The real architect of this scheme is someone much higher up. Uncle Connor? Think bigger. He swiped to another document. Your uncle answers to people too. Powerful people who needed a legitimate business to wash their money through. My coffee turned bitter in my mouth. How long have you been investigating this? 2 years, but we could never get inside access until I happened across those files. I set my cup down hard. So Sophia working with me, that wasn't a coincidence? She came to us first, actually. Said she suspected something was wrong but needed help proving it. Abel's eyes softened. She risked everything to help you, Samantha. My phone buzzed. Aunt Melina's number flashed on the screen. Speaking of risks. Abel nodded at my phone. You should answer that. I did, bracing myself for more accusations. Instead, Melina's voice came through shaking. I need to see you, she whispered. Please. Not about Caleb, about something else. Something worse. I looked at Abel, who was already gathering his things. Go, he said. But be careful. Record everything. 20 minutes later, I sat across from Aunt Melina in a small park. She'd aged years and days, her perfectly maintained appearance now crumbling. They're going to kill him, she said without preamble. Caleb, they're going to make it look like suicide in his cell. Who is? The same people who own your uncle. The same people who... She choked back a sob. Who killed your father. The world tilted sideways. Dad died in a car accident. Is that what Connor told you? She laughed bitterly. Your father found out what was happening, just like you did. But he confronted them directly instead of going to the authorities. 3 days later, his brakes failed on that mountain road. My phone buzzed again. Sophia this time. Urgent. Office being raided. Connor destroying files. Need access to your old computer now. I have to go. I stood up, my mind racing. But Melina, I need you to tell Abel everything you just told me. Everything you know. Who's Abel? Someone who can help, like he's helping me. I showed her my phone screen, displaying the company registration documents. I'm not just taking them down, Melina. I'm building something new, something legitimate. When this is over, the family name won't mean corruption anymore. Her eyes widened as she read. This is why you've been meeting with our old clients. The ones who weren't involved in the scheme, yes. They're ready to jump ship as soon as everything breaks. I squeezed her hand. Help us. For Caleb. Back at my hotel, Sophia was waiting with her laptop. We need your login credentials. They haven't deactivated them yet. They're about to, I said, typing quickly. There, that should give you access to my cloud backup. Everything I found plus whatever was on my computer when they fired me. My phone lit up with a text from Vivian. We need to talk. Now. Go, Sophia urged. I've got this covered. Abel's getting a protection order for Caleb as we speak. I found Vivian at our childhood treehouse, of all places. She sat with her legs dangling over the edge, looking young and lost. Is it true? She asked as I climbed up. About Dad? How did you... Melina called me right after you left her. Said I deserved to know. She wiped her eyes. All these years I thought you were the troublemaker. The one who couldn't just play along. But you were right. About everything. I sat beside her, our shoulders touching like when we were kids. Help me fix this, Viv. Help me make it right. She pulled out her phone, showing me emails she'd secretly archived. Already am, sis. Already am. As the sun set behind the trees, my phone buzzed one last time. Abel. It's happening. Tomorrow everything breaks. Are you ready? I looked at my sister, thought of Melina, of Sophia, of all the pieces falling into place. Ready, I texted back. Let's finish this. The package arrived at my hotel room door just before dawn, a plain manila envelope with no return address. Inside, I found a single photograph. My father, sitting at his desk, time-stamped 3 days before his death. On the back, written in red ink, like father, like daughter, back off. My hands were still shaking when Abel called. Turn on the news, he said without greeting. Every channel showed the same scene. Federal agents swarming Quinn Enterprises, carrying out boxes of documents. Uncle Connor stood at the entrance, his face ashen, as reporters shouted questions. My phone exploded with notifications. Vivian. Dad's old office. Now. Found something. I met her in the abandoned building where our father had run his consulting business. She was already there, kneeling by a loose floorboard. Look what I found, she said, pulling out a dusty metal box. Inside were USB drives, documents, and a letter addressed to me. He knew, I whispered, scanning the letter. He knew everything, Viv. The money laundering, the shell companies, all of it. He was building a case. Sam. She held up one of the drives. There's more. These recordings... Dad wasn't just gathering evidence. He was part of it initially. He was trying to make it right when they killed him. The door creaked behind us. We spun around to find Melina standing there, pale as a ghost. I've been following you, she admitted. After our talk yesterday, I remembered something. About the night your father died. She pulled out her phone, showing us a video. I never showed this to anyone, not even Connor. The shaky footage showed our father arguing with two men in suits outside the office building. The timestamp matched the photo I'd received that morning. I need names, I said. Melina shook her head. It's not safe. They already threatened Caleb in prison. If I tell you... They killed my father. I slammed my hand on the desk. They're using our family's company to launder money for who knows what. And now they're threatening me too. I got this morning. I showed her the photograph. Her face went white. Where did you get this? Same place you got your warning about Caleb, I'm guessing. My phone buzzed. Sophia. Emergency. Someone's deleted everything from the cloud. All our evidence gone. No, I smiled, holding up the USB drives. Not everything. Vivian's phone chimed next. She read the message and grabbed my arm. Uncle Connor's calling an emergency family meeting. Tonight. Everyone has to attend. It's a trap, Melina said immediately. They'll try to silence all of us at once. Or it's our chance. I countered. To expose everything. We have Dad's evidence, your video, the photo they sent me. And me, said a voice from the doorway. We all turned to see Abel standing there with Sophia. We've got a federal warrant and agent standing by. All we need is for Connor to incriminate himself. He won't, Melina said. He's too careful. Unless... Vivian's eyes lit up. Unless he thinks he's only talking to family. Sam, give me your phone. She typed out a message to Connor. You win. I'll back off. Just let me explain myself to everyone tonight. His response came immediately. Finally seeing reason. 8 p.m. The house. He'll be recording everything, Melina warned, looking for evidence he can use against us. Good, Abel smiled. So will we. That evening, I stood outside my childhood home wearing a wire under my blazer. Vivian squeezed my hand before we went in. Whatever happens, she whispered, I'm with you. The family sat around the massive dining table. Aunts, uncles, cousins, all except Caleb. Uncle Connor stood at the head looking triumphant. Samantha, he said warmly, ready to apologize to everyone? I stood up, feeling the weight of my father's letter in my pocket. Actually, Uncle Connor, I have a story to tell. About a man who discovered something terrible happening in his family's company. About how he tried to fix it and what happened to him because of that. His smile froze. Samantha? It's a story about my father, I continued, pulling out the photo I'd received that morning. And about the men who visited him 3 days before his death. The room went silent. In the distance, sirens began to wail. Perhaps, Abel's voice rang out as he stepped in from the hallway, federal agents filing in behind him. You'd like to tell us about those men, Mr. Quinn? I watched my uncle's face crumble as he realized what was happening. As the agents read him his rights, I felt Vivian's hand slip into mine again. The truth was finally coming out. But at what cost? The boardroom of my new company felt strange. Sleek, modern, and most importantly, clean. No hidden files, no secret accounts, just honest business. 3 weeks after Connor's arrest, I sat facing the former clients of Quinn Enterprises, laying out my vision. The transition will be seamless, I explained, sliding contracts across the polished table. Same service quality, but with complete transparency. And the legal issues? Margaret, our biggest potential client, raised an eyebrow. We can't risk association with... Everything's been vetted by federal authorities. Abel cut in smoothly from beside me. Ms. Quinn's new venture is completely separate from the previous entity. My phone buzzed. A message from the prison. Caleb wanted to see me. Again. "Excuse me," I said, standing. "My colleague Sophia will walk you through the details." In the hallway, Vivian waited with coffee. "Another visit request?" "Third this week." I took the cup gratefully. He keeps insisting there's more to the story. Maybe there is. She pulled out her tablet. "Look what I found in Dad's old files." The document showed a series of transactions predating even Connor's involvement. Names I recognized. Powerful people in politics, finance, technology. "This goes higher than we thought," Vivienne whispered. "Way higher." My phone rang. "Melina, turn on the news now." We rushed to my office just in time to see Connor being led into court. The headline below read, "Quinn Enterprises CEO claims conspiracy, names major players." "He's talking," Vivian breathed. "Because they want him to," came Abel's voice. He stood in the doorway, face grim. "Think about it. Why now? Why is he suddenly naming names?" "Because they're the wrong names," I realized. "He's creating a false trail." My office phone lit up. Margaret and the other clients were leaving. I rushed back to the boardroom, but it was too late. "We can't take the risk," Margaret said apologetically. "Not with these new allegations flying around." I watched months of planning crumble as they filed out. Back in my office, I slumped into my chair. "We need to talk to Caleb," Vivian insisted. "If Connor's creating a false trail, maybe Caleb knows the real one." 2 hours later, I sat across from my cousin in the prison visiting room. He looked better than last time. Clearer, more focused. "They killed Dad, didn't they?" he asked without preamble. "Yes." "Because he found out about the political connections?" I leaned forward. "What political connections?" "The ones Connor's not naming." Caleb glanced around nervously. "Look, I was just the numbers guy. I moved money where they told me to. But sometimes, late at night, I'd see things. Names. Real names." "We need those names, Caleb." "You don't understand," he hissed. "These people, they own judges, cops, entire departments. Why do you think Connor's still alive? He's playing his part." My phone buzzed. "Sophia. Emergency. Office broken into, all files copied." "They're moving fast," Abel said when I showed him the message back at the office. "They know we're close." "Then we move faster." I pulled out my father's letter. Dad mentioned a backup plan. Something he called Protocol 7. "Melina, does that mean anything to you?" She'd been quiet since arriving, but now she straightened. "The 7th floor. Your father's old building had a hidden room there, behind the maintenance closet." "That's where we're going," I announced. "Tonight." "It's too dangerous," Abel protested. "They're watching us." "Then we give them something else to watch." I turned to Sophia. "Remember that press release we prepared? About the new company? Send it now." "But we just lost all our clients," she said. "Exactly. While they're celebrating our failure, we'll be finding the truth." That night, as business news reported the collapse of my new venture, 4 of us crept into my father's old building. The 7th floor was dark, dusty with disuse. "Here," Melina whispered, pushing aside a shelf in the maintenance closet. Behind it, a small door. Inside, we found a single laptop, ancient but carefully preserved. As it booted up, a video file started playing automatically. My father's face filled the screen. "Samantha, if you're watching this, you've figured it out. Everything you need is here. The real names, the real conspiracy. But baby girl, be careful. What you're about to learn..." The screen suddenly went black. Behind us, a voice spoke. "That's quite far enough." We spun around to face the darkness, and I finally understood why Uncle Connor had been so afraid. Senator Marcus stepped out of the shadows, flanked by 2 men in dark suits. The same men from Melina's video of my father. "I was wondering when you'd find this place," he said, his politician's smile never reaching his eyes. "Your father was equally persistent. Must run in the family." "You killed him," I said, my voice shaking with rage. Now. Accidents happen. Just like they might happen to your cousin Caleb if this goes any further." He gestured to the laptop. "Hand it over." "It's already too late," Abel spoke up. "Everything's been uploaded to secure servers." The senator laughed. "Mr. Taylor, please. We both know that's not true. You're bluffing, just like you bluffed about having evidence against Connor." My blood ran cold. How did he know about that? "You've been watching us," Vivian realized. "All along. Of course we have. Did you think Connor's confession was spontaneous? We've been directing this little play from the beginning." He stepped closer. "Though I must admit, you've been more resourceful than we anticipated." "Why are you telling us this?" Melina demanded. "Because, Mrs. Quinn, I'm offering you all a choice. The same choice we offered Connor." He spread his hands. "Work with us, and your family's wealth is restored. Fight us, and, well..." He glanced meaningfully at the laptop. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Sophia's name flashed on the screen. "Don't answer that," one of the suits warned, reaching for his weapon. But the senator raised his hand. "Let her. This should be interesting." I put the phone on speaker. Sophia's voice came through, clear and confident. "It's done. All of it. Every major news outlet has the files." "What files?" The senator's smile faltered. "The ones my father didn't keep here," I said, feeling a surge of triumph. "The ones he mailed to his old law school friend the day before he died. The friend who kept them safe until I was ready." "You're bluffing," he snarled, but uncertainty crept into his voice. "Check your phone, Senator." Abel smiled. "Breaking news should be hitting right about now." The senator's phone chimed. As he read, his face drained of color. "Impossible," he whispered. "My father knew you'd find this place." I continued, strength flowing into my voice. "Knew you'd think you had won. That's why he made sure the real evidence was somewhere else. Somewhere even I didn't know about until Sophia decoded the message hidden in his letter." The suited men looked uncertainly at their boss, whose phone was now buzzing continuously. "Sir," one said urgently, "we need to go. Now." "This isn't over," the senator hissed, backing toward the door. "Actually, it is," came a new voice. Federal agents poured into the room, led by a woman I recognized from the news, the head of the FBI's white-collar crime division. "Senator Marcus," she said formally, "you're under arrest for conspiracy, obstruction of justice, and accessory to murder." As they led him away, he turned back to me. "You have no idea what you've done. The people I work for will be joining you shortly." The FBI agent cut in. "Ms. Quinn's father left quite a detailed trail. We've been building this case for years, waiting for the final pieces." Later, in my office, we watched the dominoes fall on every news channel. Politicians, business leaders, judges, all exposed by my father's hidden files. "He knew," Vivian said softly. "He knew they'd kill him, so he made sure the truth would come out eventually." My phone buzzed. "Caleb. Just saw the news. Guards say I'll be released tomorrow. The evidence shows I was coerced. Sam, thank you." Another message followed from Margaret. "Meeting tomorrow? Think we need to revisit those contracts." "So what now?" Melina asked, looking around at our small group of conspirators. "Now," I said, pulling out fresh contracts. "We build something honest. Something worthy of my father's sacrifice." "And the family?" Vivian asked quietly. I looked at Melina, thought of Caleb, even Uncle Connor. "We heal. Together." Abel raised an eyebrow. "Even Connor?" "He made his choices," I acknowledged. "But he also protected us in his own way. Maybe that counts for something." My phone buzzed one last time. An email from an unknown address. Inside was a video file. My father recorded the day he died. I knew you'd finish what I started. His voice filled the room. Remember, Samantha, true legacy isn't about money or power. It's about doing what's right, no matter the cost. I looked around at my unlikely team. My sister, my aunt, my friends. Together, we'd torn down a corrupt empire. Now came the harder part, building a better one. He's gone. Vivian burst into my office, face flushed with panic. Caleb's disappeared with all the new business proposals. I stared at her, my coffee cup frozen halfway to my mouth. What? The thumb drive with all our client presentations, financial projections, everything. Gone. Along with him. My phone rang. Sophia. Sam, you need to see this. Caleb just emailed all our potential clients, claiming we stole his intellectual property. 3 months of careful planning, of rebuilding trust, threatened to unravel in minutes. I grabbed my keys. Where are you going? Vivienne called after me, to stop history from repeating itself. I found Caleb exactly where I expected, our grandfather's old lake house. His car was parked haphazardly in the gravel driveway. I wondered how long it would take you to figure it out, he said as I walked onto the deck. He sat in our grandfather's rocking chair, laptop open on his knees. Why, Caleb? Because it should have been mine. He slammed the laptop shut. I was the one who stayed loyal. I was the one who went to jail. And now you're giving away our clients to your new company? I'm not giving them away. I'm offering them a legitimate business partnership. With you in charge. He laughed bitterly. Always perfect, Samantha, Dad's favorite, the moral compass of the family. Is that what this is about? Dad? He trusted you with everything. His plans, his evidence, his legacy. What did I get? A prison sentence and a ruined reputation. You got a second chance, I said quietly, which is more than Dad ever got. His face crumpled. They would have killed him anyway, even if I had warned him. The words hung in the air between us. My hands started shaking. You knew? My voice came out as a whisper. You knew they were going to kill him? I overheard Connor talking to the senator. I thought they were just trying to scare him off. Tears streamed down his face. By the time I realized what they really meant, it was too late. My phone buzzed. Abel. Damage control in progress, but we need those proposals back now. Give me the drive, Caleb. Or what? You'll send me back to prison? He stood up, walking to the deck railing. Maybe I should just upload everything online. Let everyone see your precious plans. Those plans include you. He turned. What? I pulled out a document from my bag. Read it. Page 3, partnership structure. His hands trembled as he read. 20% ownership? Vice President of Operations? Your family, Caleb. Despite everything. Dad believed in second chances. That's why he left all that evidence. Not just to expose the truth, but to give us a chance to make things right. I don't deserve it. No, I agreed. But you can earn it. Starting now. He pulled the thumb drive from his pocket, staring at it. I already sent those emails. My phone buzzed again. Sophia. Crisis averted. Clients all received our explanation. Most found Caleb's claims suspicious given his history. We can fix this, I said, holding out my hand. Together. The drive felt heavy in my palm when he finally handed it over. Behind us, gravel crunched as another car pulled up. Sorry I'm late, Vivian called out, walking onto the deck. Traffic was terrible. She looked between us. Everything okay? Getting there, I said. Caleb was just about to sign his partnership agreement. Partnership? She raised an eyebrow. People change, Viv. I pulled out a pen. Sometimes they just need a reason to. Later that evening, as we sat in my office reviewing the damage control strategy, Abel shook his head. You're either brilliant or crazy, he said. Possibly both. Giving him a stake in the company after what he did? She's being strategic, Vivienne defended. Keep your friends close. No, I interrupted. I'm being family. The right way this time. My phone lit up with a message from Melina. Heard about Caleb. Thank you for believing in him. Your father would be proud. I looked through my office window at Caleb, sitting with Sophia, earnestly explaining something to our clients via video conference. His shoulders were straight, his voice clear and confident. Second chances, I murmured, thinking of Dad's last video. That's what legacy really means. Abel gathered his things to leave. Big presentation tomorrow. You ready to show the world what honest business looks like? I smiled, watching my cousin, my sister, our team working together. More than ready, I said. We're just getting started. The conference room buzzed with anticipation as I stood at the podium, facing the largest gathering of business leaders our city had seen in decades. Camera flashes popped from the media section. Today, I began, we're not just launching a company. We're redefining what family business means. In the front row, Vivian gave me an encouraging nod. Beside her, Caleb sat straight-backed in his new suit, pride replacing his former shame. Melina dabbed at her eyes with a tissue. Quinn Enterprises was built on secrets, I continued, but Quinn Solutions is built on transparency. I clicked to the first slide, showing our revolutionary business model. Every transaction traceable, every deal ethical, every partnership meaningful. My phone vibrated in my pocket. A message from the prison. I ignored it. Uncle Connor could wait. Some of you knew my father, I said, my voice steady. He believed business could be both profitable and principled. He died defending that belief. Today, we prove him right. The presentation flowed perfectly. When I opened the floor for questions, Margaret stood first. As someone who worked with both Quinn Enterprises, she said, I have to ask, how can we be sure history won't repeat itself? Because of this, Caleb stood up, unscripted. May I, Sam? I gestured him forward, heart pounding. I was part of the old system, he said, his voice carrying clearly. I chose wrong. I hurt people. But standing here today, helping build something honest. He pulled out a folder. These are documents showing every illegal transaction I ever handled. I'm submitting them to the FBI voluntarily. Gasps rippled through the room. This wasn't part of our plan. My cousin offered me redemption. Caleb continued. Now I'm earning it. Complete transparency, starting with me. Cameras flashed frantically. In the back, Abel gave me a thumbs up. The questions flew fast after that. With each answer, I could feel the room's skepticism melting into genuine interest. By the time I announced our first major contract, a government infrastructure project with unprecedented public oversight, the energy was electric. One last thing, I said as the presentation wound down. Every employee in our company, from executives to entry level, will have profit sharing and voting rights on major decisions. Because true legacy isn't built by individuals. It's built by family, both blood and chosen. The applause was deafening. As reporters swarmed forward, my phone buzzed again. This time, I checked it. Ready to talk? Connor's message read, I have information about the senator's remaining allies. What do you think? I showed the message to Abel. Could be useful, he mused. But be careful. Actually, Vivian cut in, let me handle Connor. You've got something more important to do. She nodded toward the door where Sophia stood with an elderly man I'd never seen before. Ms. Quinn, he said as I approached. I'm Robert Marshall, your father's law professor, the one he trusted with those files. My throat tightened. Thank you for keeping them safe, for waiting until the right time. Don't thank me, he smiled. Thank him. He knew exactly who you'd become. He handed me an envelope. He left this too, said to give it to you when you'd finished what he started. Inside was a single photo. Dad and me at my college graduation, both of us laughing. On the back, he'd written, The best legacy is the truth we leave behind. I'm so proud of you, baby girl. Sam, Caleb called out urgently. The governor's office is on the line. They want to discuss statewide infrastructure contracts. I tucked the photo into my jacket pocket, right over my heart. Professor Marshall, I said, would you like to see what your former student's legacy has become? He followed me back to where my team waited. Vivian coordinating with PR, Caleb on the phone with government officials, Sophia preparing contract documents, Abel reviewing legal details, Melina handling client relations. Your father once told me his biggest dream was to build something that would outlast him, Marshall said quietly. Something true. I watched my family, both blood and chosen, working together to create something honest, something real. He did, I replied. He built us. My phone buzzed one final time. A news alert. Quinn Solutions sets new standard for corporate transparency. I smiled, thinking of Dad's words in that last video. True legacy isn't about money or power. It's about doing what's right, no matter the cost. We'd paid the cost. Now we were claiming the legacy. The right way, the true way, together.
I never planned on becoming invisible in my own home. It happened gradually, like watching a photograph fade in the sun. The irony? While my family saw less and less of who I really was, I was secretly building an empire that would make their jaws drop. My name is Addison, and this morning I watched my 16-year-old daughter, Leah, roll her eyes at me for the 100th time while her friend Sophia sat at our kitchen island. "Mom, can you, not hover? We're trying to study," Leah said, not even looking up from her textbook. "Yeah, sure," I replied, sliding a plate of fresh-baked cookies toward them. "Just thought you might want a snack." "God, Mom, you're so basic," Leah muttered. "This isn't the 1950s. You don't have to play housewife all the time." I caught Sophia's uncomfortable glance as she reached for a cookie. At least someone felt awkward about my daughter's attitude. "Your mom's cookies are amazing, though," Sophia offered kindly. "Whatever. That's literally all she does all day. Dad says she's lucky he makes enough money so she can just stay home and bake." The words stung, but I kept my face neutral as I wiped down the counter. My phone buzzed in my pocket, probably Clark with updates about our latest acquisition. I'd have to wait to check it. "Actually," I said carefully, "I have some errands to run. You girls okay here?" Leah waved me off dismissively. As I grabbed my car keys, I heard her continue. "Must be nice, right? Just running errands and watching Netflix all day while Dad actually works?" I closed the door behind me and let out a long breath. If they only knew that the errands involved finalizing a $50 million deal that would reshape the tech industry landscape. 20 minutes later, I sat in my secret office downtown, a sleek, modern space with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Clark paced in front of my desk, his excitement palpable. "Addison, the board approved it. We're acquiring TechFront." He ran his hands through his salt and pepper hair. "Flynn doesn't even know what hit him. He still thinks he's negotiating with some faceless corporation." I allowed myself a small smile. "Perfect. And the paperwork?" "Ready for your signature, but—" Clark hesitated. "Don't you think it's time to tell your family? This makes you one of the most influential tech entrepreneurs in the country." I spun my chair to face the window, watching the city buzz below. "Actually, I've been thinking about that. The way they treat me lately, maybe it's time for a wake-up call." My phone rang. Uriel's ringtone. My husband calling from his mid-level management job where he felt like a big shot. "Hey, honey," I answered, keeping my voice sweet. "Need something? Did you remember to pick up my dry cleaning? I have that presentation tomorrow." "Of course," I replied, signing the acquisition papers with my free hand. "Anything else?" "No, that's it. Don't wait up tonight. Important dinner meeting." I hung up and turned to Clark. "You know what? You're right. It's time they knew. But we're going to do this my way." Clark raised an eyebrow. "Why do I feel like you're plotting something?" "Because I am." I picked up my phone again and dialed Maya. When she answered, I didn't waste time. "Remember that plan we discussed? I'm ready. Let's set it in motion." "Are you sure?" Maya asked. "Once you do this, there's no going back." "I'm sure. I'm tired of being invisible. It's time they saw me, really saw me." After hanging up, I looked at Clark. Call a board meeting for next week, and make sure to invite Flynn. He should be there when he realizes who just bought his company. And your family? They'll be there too, they just don't know it yet. I stood up, smoothing my designer blazer. It's time they learned that the lazy, stay-at-home mom they mock is actually the one keeping their comfortable lifestyle afloat. Clark grinned. This is going to be interesting. Oh, it will be, I said, gathering my things. But first I need to go home and play my part. Leah needs help with her calculus homework, and Uriel needs his shirts pressed for tomorrow. As I drove home, I felt a mix of anticipation and nervousness. Was I really ready to shatter the illusion I'd carefully maintained for years? The weight of my secret empire had grown too heavy to carry alone. My phone buzzed again, another message from the board about the acquisition. I smiled, thinking about how next week would change everything. Sometimes the best revenge isn't served cold. It's served with a side of humble pie at a board meeting no one sees coming. I thought we could do something special as a family next week, I announced over dinner, watching Uriel scroll through his phone while Leah pushed her food around her plate. Uriel barely looked up. Next Thursday. I made reservations downtown for lunch. I thought it might be nice. Leah's head snapped up. I can't. I have cheer practice. Actually, I said, taking a sip of water, I already spoke with your coach. She said you could miss one practice. You what? Leah's fork clattered against her plate. Mom, you can't just... And I have meetings, Uriel interrupted, finally looking up from his phone. I smiled sweetly. I checked with your assistant, Sarah. Your calendar is clear after 11. That got his attention. You called my assistant? I wanted to make sure we could all be there. It's important. Important? Leah scoffed. What could be so important about lunch with you? Before I could respond, my phone buzzed. A message from Maya. Urgent. Flynn making moves. Trying to block the acquisition. Need to talk ASAP. I kept my face neutral, though my heart raced. It's a surprise. Trust me, you'll want to be there. Whatever, Leah muttered, returning to her phone. Later that night, I paced in my home office, speaking quietly with Maya on the phone. Flynn's lawyers are claiming the deal is fraudulent, Maya explained. They're demanding to meet the CEO in person. He's just throwing a tantrum because he doesn't know who outmaneuvered him, I replied. Have Clark handle it for now. Next week, Flynn will get his meeting, along with my family. About that, are you sure mixing these two situations is wise? I heard footsteps in the hallway and quickly switched to my mom voice. Yes, honey, I'll make sure to pick up more milk tomorrow. Leah appeared in the doorway. Mom, who are you talking to? Just Mrs. Peterson from the neighborhood watch, I lied smoothly. Did you need something? She lingered, looking uncertain. About Thursday. Do I really have to come? I saw a flicker of genuine curiosity in her eyes. Yes, sweetheart, but I promise it'll be worth it. After she left, I texted Maya, proceed as planned, and upgrade the security for Thursday. The next morning, I drove downtown after dropping Leah at school. Clark was waiting in my office, looking worried. Flynn's getting aggressive, he said without preamble. He's threatening to go to the press. Let him, I replied, logging into my computer. By Thursday, it won't matter. There's something else. Clark handed me an envelope. This came this morning. Inside was a typed note. Back off from TechFront, or your secret life won't be secret much longer. I laughed, surprising Clark. Flynn's getting desperate. He still doesn't realize he's dealing with a woman, does he? No, but... Then let him play his games. Thursday will be quite educational for everyone. My phone rang. Uriel again. Honey, about Thursday. I really don't think I can make it. The quarterly reports... Uriel, I cut him off, my voice firm but gentle. One lunch, that's all I'm asking. When was the last time we did something as a family? He sighed. Fine, but this better be good. Oh, it will be. I hung up and turned to Clark. Make sure the conference room is ready. And Clark, let's add some dramatic flair. I want the big screen showing our company's portfolio when they walk in. You're enjoying this, aren't you? 16 years of being underestimated, dismissed, and treated like I'm nothing but a housewife. I smiled. Yes, I'm going to enjoy every second. That evening, I overheard Leah talking to Sophia on the phone in her room. Mom's being weird. She's planning this mysterious lunch downtown. No, I have no idea what it's about. Dad thinks she's probably just lonely or something. I know, right? Like get a hobby or something. I closed my eyes, letting the words wash over me. Soon they would understand. Soon they would see. My phone buzzed with another threatening message. Last warning, walk away now. I typed back a single response. Looking forward to meeting you on Thursday, Flynn. Then I walked into the kitchen, put on my apron, and started baking cookies. The perfect housewife, preparing for her moment of truth. Let them think I'm nothing. Let them underestimate me one last time. Because on Thursday, the mask comes off. And nobody, not Flynn, not Uriel, not even Leah, is ready for what's behind it. Maya sat across from me in our favorite coffee shop, the same one where we'd first hatched the plan for my company 7 years ago. Remember when you walked in here furious because Uriel told you to stick to what you're good at after you suggested investing in tech stocks? I smiled, stirring my latte. He lost $50,000 that year in bad investments. I made my first $1 million. While he thought you were taking cooking classes. Maya leaned forward. But Addison, are you ready for what this revelation might do to your family? The bell above the door chimed and Clark rushed in, looking flustered. Sorry I'm late. Flynn's lawyers are being relentless. They always get aggressive right before they lose, I said, sliding him a coffee. Remember that deal in 2019? How could I forget? You were in the hospital having your appendix removed and still managed to close the deal. Clark chuckled. Uriel thought you were delirious from pain meds when you kept talking about market projections. He told the nurse I was just rambling nonsense. I gripped my cup tighter. That's when I knew I could never tell him. Not until I was so successful he couldn't possibly dismiss it. Maya touched my hand. And now you're there. Your company's worth billions. Mom? Leah's voice cut through the coffee shop noise like a knife. I turned to see my daughter standing there, shopping bags in hand. She was supposed to be at the mall with Sophia, but apparently they'd decided to stop for coffee. What are you doing here? She asked, eyes darting between my companions. I thought you were grocery shopping. Just catching up with some friends, I said smoothly. You remember Maya from the neighborhood barbecue last summer? Leah nodded slowly, her eyes fixed on Clark. And him? Clark, he's an old friend. Right. Leah's tone dripped with skepticism. Well, don't let me interrupt your whatever this is. As she walked away to join Sophia at another table, I heard her loud whisper. She's being so weird lately. First the mysterious lunch, now secret meetings. Clark waited until she was out of earshot. She's suspicious. Good, I replied. Let her be curious. It'll make Thursday even more interesting. Maya's phone buzzed. Her eyes widened as she read the message. Flynn just called an emergency press conference for tomorrow morning. Perfect timing, I said, pulling out my laptop. Let's give him something to really talk about. I opened my email and drafted a quick message to our board members, copying Flynn's entire executive team. The subject line read, Special Announcement, Thursday Board Meeting. Are you sure about this? Clark asked. Send it, I commanded, hitting the button. And make sure the media gets wind of it too. Flynn wants to play hardball? Let's play. Later that evening, as I prepared dinner, I found myself transported back to the day this all began. Uriel had laughed when I suggested investing our savings in a struggling tech startup. Stick to the grocery budget, honey, he'd said, patting my head like I was a child. Leave the real business to me. That night I'd called Maya, who connected me with Clark. Together we built something extraordinary, all while I maintained my facade of domestic bliss. Mom? Leah's voice pulled me from my memories. She stood in the kitchen doorway looking uncertain. About that coffee shop today, yes? You seemed different with those people, like you were talking about something important. I turned to face her fully. What makes you say that? I don't know, you just seemed more alive? Not like regular mom you. For a moment I considered telling her everything right then. Instead, I said, Sometimes people are more than what we see on the surface, sweetheart. She rolled her eyes, the moment of insight gone. Whatever. Is dinner ready? I'm starving. My phone buzzed. A news alert about Flynn's upcoming press conference. Below it, a message from Maya. He's going to try to discredit the mystery buyer before Thursday. I smiled, chopping vegetables with renewed vigor. Let him try. He had no idea he was about to face off against the woman he'd dismissed as just another housewife at a charity gala 3 years ago. Mom? Leah called from the dining room. Dad's working late again. Of course he is, I muttered, then louder. That's fine, honey. More for us. As I served dinner, my phone lit up with another threat from Flynn. You can't hide forever. Tomorrow I expose everything. I typed back, looking forward to your press conference. Break a leg. Because tomorrow, Flynn would make his move. But Thursday? Thursday would be my checkmate. And my family would have front row seats to the show. Thursday arrived with the weight of destiny. I adjusted Uriel's tie in the elevator of my office building, playing the doting wife one last time. I still don't understand why we're having lunch here, he grumbled. The plaza would have been nicer. Leah stood in the corner, tapping away on her phone. This building's kind of impressive, though. Look at all these tech companies. 32nd floor, I announced as the elevator dinged. Follow me. Wait, Uriel stopped short, staring at the directory. This is the tech front acquisition floor. There's a huge meeting about that today. We shouldn't be here. I smiled, leading them down the hallway. Actually, we should. Security nodded at me as we approached the conference room. Through the glass walls, I could see Flynn pacing, his face red with anger. Board members filled the seats and reporters waited eagerly in the corner. Mom, Leah whispered, I think we're in the wrong place. We're exactly where we need to be. I pushed open the door and every head turned. Flynn froze mid-stride. What is this? Who let these people in? Clark stood up. Everyone, please welcome our CEO. The room fell silent. Uriel grabbed my arm. Addison, we need to leave. This is a private meeting. No, I said, shrugging off his hand. This is my meeting. Flynn's face contorted. You? You're the mystery buyer? The one who's been trying to take my company? Not trying, I corrected, walking to the head of the table. Succeeding. Leah's phone clattered to the floor. Mom? I pulled out the chair at the head of the table. Please, everyone, sit. We have a lot to discuss. This is ridiculous, Flynn sputtered. You're nothing but a housewife. I met you at the charity gala. Your husband works in middle management. Uriel's face flushed. Addison, what's going on? I nodded to Clark, who clicked a button. The screens around the room lit up with my company's portfolio, achievements, and acquisitions over the past 7 years. 7 years ago, I addressed the room, I started this company with a vision. While everyone thought I was taking cooking classes and running errands, I was building an empire. And today, that empire acquires TechFront. You're lying, Flynn snapped. This is impossible. I pulled out a folder. These documents say otherwise. Your board already approved the sale. They just didn't know who they were selling to. Reporters scribbled frantically. Cameras flashed. Leah had sunk into a chair, her face pale. But the cookies, she whispered. The carpools. The PTA meetings. I did it all, I said, my voice firm. I ran this company and maintained our home because that's what everyone expected of me. No one thought to look deeper because no one thought I was capable of more. Uriel stood frozen, his world visibly crumbling. All this time? Yes, I met his eyes. All this time. Flynn slammed his hands on the table. This is a setup. You can't possibly... The financials, I cut him off, sliding papers across the table. The projections, the merger details, everything you dismissed when I tried to discuss them at that gala, saying I should stick to planning parties. The board members examined the documents, nodding with approval. Flynn's face grew redder. You'll regret this, he hissed, storming toward the door. I'll fight it. Your board has already voted, Clark announced. It's done. As Flynn slammed the door behind him, I turned to my family. Leah's eyes were wide with shock and something else. Was it admiration? Mom, she started. Mrs. Davidson, a reporter interrupted. How did you manage to keep this secret for so long? I held up my hand. I'll answer questions later. Right now, I need a moment with my family. The board members and reporters filed out, leaving us alone in the massive conference room. The screens still displayed my achievements, casting a blue glow over our faces. All those times I called you lazy, Leah's voice cracked. When I told my friends you did nothing all day. Those words hurt, I admitted. But they also drove me. Every dismissive comment, every eye roll, every time you both treated me like I was nothing but a housewife, it fueled me. Uriel sank into a chair. The company I've been reading about in the papers, the mysterious tech giant everyone's been trying to identify. That was you? That was me. I stood tall, finally letting my power show. And now you know exactly who I am. The door burst open. Maya rushed in. Addison, Flynn's calling an emergency press conference. He's threatening to expose everything about your personal life. I smiled, feeling more alive than ever. Let him try. I'm done hiding. Looking at my stunned family, I added, we all have some catching up to do. Shall we have that lunch now? The private dining room felt smaller than usual with the weight of unspoken words hanging in the air. Leah pushed her salad around the plate while Uriel stared at his untouched steak. So, I broke the silence. Any questions? How much? Uriel asked quietly. How much are you worth? The company's valued at just over $4 billion. I took a sip of water. My personal net worth is around $1.2 billion. Leah's fork clattered against her plate. Billion? With a B? That vacation house in Aspen you wanted last summer? I continued. I own it. Actually, I own the whole development. But you said we couldn't afford it, Leah whispered. No, I said we shouldn't flaunt our money. There's a difference. Maya burst into the room, tablet in hand. Flynn's live on CNBC right now. I nodded to Clark, who grabbed the remote and turned on the dining room's wall-mounted screen. Flynn's red face filled the screen, his tie askew. This hostile takeover is a fraud, he was saying. This woman, this supposed CEO, she's nothing but a housewife playing businesswoman. Mute it, I commanded. Let him rant. The papers are signed. Mom, Leah leaned forward. All those times you were on the phone in your office? Board meetings, acquisitions, running a global company, and the cooking classes? Cover stories, though I did actually learn to make a decent souffle. Uriel finally looked up. Why didn't you tell me? Really? I set down my fork. Remember when I suggested investing in that startup 7 years ago? You laughed and told me to stick to grocery shopping. I didn't mean... Yes, you did. I turned to Leah. And you? Mom's so basic. All she does is bake cookies. Dad's the only one who actually works. Leah's eyes filled with tears. I'm so sorry. The door burst open again. Addison, Clark interrupted. Flynn's making moves. He's calling in favors, trying to freeze our assets. I stood up, smoothing my blazer. Excuse me for a moment. Feel free to order dessert. Can I watch? Leah asked hesitantly. I paused, then nodded. Come on. We walked to my office, Uriel trailing behind. I sat at my desk, fingers flying over the keyboard while Clark and Maya coordinated with our legal team. Transfer everything to the offshore accounts, I commanded. Execute Protocol Delta. What's happening? Leah whispered to Maya. Your mom's about to show Flynn why you don't underestimate her, Maya replied with a grin. I picked up my phone, putting it on speaker. Hello, Flynn. You think you've won? He snarled. I'm freezing every account. Already moved, I cut him off. And while you were giving your little TV tantrum, my team acquired controlling interest in your private holdings. Check your personal accounts. Silence then. What did you do? The same thing you tried to do to me. Except I succeeded. I leaned back. Would you like to rethink that press conference? You can't. I can. I did. And Flynn, remember when you told me at that gala that I should stick to planning bake sales? I made cookies this morning. Would you like some? They're victory flavored. The line went dead. Leah stared at me, mouth open. Even Uriel looked impressed. Holy shit, Leah breathed. My mom's a badass. Language, I corrected automatically, then smiled. But yes, I am. Maya's tablet pinged. Flynn's retracting his statements. The board's releasing a statement supporting the acquisition. And that, I said, standing up, is how you close a deal. All those times I bragged about Dad's job, Leah said quietly. You were running this empire? While also making your lunch, helping with homework, and yes, baking cookies. I turned to Uriel. I never needed your money. I never needed anyone to take care of me. I just wanted respect. Uriel stepped forward. Addison, Mrs. Davidson? My assistant poked her head in. The press is requesting a statement. I looked at my family. Would you like to see what Mom actually does all day? Leah nodded eagerly. Uriel managed a weak smile. As we walked toward the press room, Leah grabbed my hand. Mom, those cookies you made this morning, were they really victory cookies? No, honey. I squeezed her hand. Those were, I love you even when you underestimate me cookies. The victory cookies are still in the oven at home. Speaking of home, Uriel said softly, I suppose that explains why you insisted on that state-of-the-art kitchen renovation last year. Actually, I smiled, that was just because I really do love baking. Being a CEO doesn't mean I can't also enjoy being a mom. I'm just done pretending that's all I am. The press room doors loomed ahead. Behind them, cameras waited to capture the moment the mysterious CEO finally showed her face. Ready? I asked my family. Ready, they answered, and this time, I believed them. The press conference was a blur of flashing cameras and rapid-fire questions. I stood at the podium, my family watching from the side, as I finally stepped into the light. Yes, I'm the CEO of Summit Technologies, I announced to the packed room. And yes, I'm also a mother and wife who bakes cookies and attends PTA meetings. Mrs. Davidson, a reporter called out, how did you manage to keep this secret for so long? Society's expectations made it easy, I replied. No one looks too closely at a housewife. Suddenly the door burst open. Flynn stormed in, flanked by his lawyers. This isn't over, he announced. We're contesting the acquisition. My lawyers have found irregularities. You mean like your attempt to hide losses in offshore accounts? I interrupted, nodding to Clark, who projected documents onto the screen behind me. Or perhaps your creative accounting with the pension fund? Flynn's face went pale. How did you... I did my homework, Flynn. Every detail, every transaction, every skeleton in your corporate closet. I turned to the reporters. In fact, I have a complete dossier ready for anyone interested in the real story behind TechFront's management. You're bluffing, Flynn sputtered. I pulled out my phone and read, March 15th, meeting in Singapore. You diverted employee pension funds to cover personal losses. April 3rd, backdated contracts to hide. Stop! Flynn's lawyer grabbed his arm. We should discuss this privately. My office, I said coolly. 10 minutes. As they hurried out, Leah stepped forward. Mom, that was incredible. That was nothing, Maya chimed in. You should have seen her handle the Tokyo merger last year. Did it while making your Halloween costume? The robot costume? Leah's eyes widened. The one you said took you 3 weeks to figure out? It did. The merger took 4. I turned back to the reporters. Any other questions? How does your family feel about the revelation? All eyes turned to Uriel and Leah. My daughter surprised me by stepping up to the microphone. I feel ashamed, she said clearly. I underestimated my mom because she didn't fit my idea of what success looks like. But now I see that she's the most successful person I know, not just in business, but in life. The reporters scribbled frantically. I felt tears threatening but held them back. Mrs. Davidson, another reporter called. What about the threats Flynn made? Let's discuss those in my office, I replied. I believe Mr. Flynn and his lawyers should be waiting. As security cleared the room, Uriel touched my arm. Can we watch? I considered for a moment. Actually, yes. It's time you saw what I really do. In my office, Flynn and his lawyers sat nervously. I took my seat behind the desk, my family and team standing behind me. Here's how this will work, I began, sliding a document across the desk. You'll sign this agreement accepting the acquisition terms. In return, I'll keep your creative accounting practices private. You can't prove anything, Flynn's lawyer interjected. I pressed a button on my desk. A recording played, Flynn's voice clearly discussing the pension fund manipulation. That's illegal, Flynn shouted. So was recording it, his lawyer added. Actually, Clark stepped forward, that recording is from your own security system. We just acquired access when we acquired the company. Flynn slumped in his chair. What do you want? I want you to sign the papers, step down gracefully, and never threaten me or my company again. I pushed the document closer. You have 30 seconds to decide before I call the SEC. 28 seconds later, Flynn signed. As security escorted him out, Leah whispered, "That was better than any movie I've ever seen." "That was better than any movie I've ever been in," Maya added with a laugh. Uriel stepped forward. "Addison, I need to say something." "Not here," I replied, standing up. "Clark, Maya, handle the press release. I'm taking my family home." In the elevator, Uriel tried again. "I've been such a fool." "Yes," I agreed. "You have. All these years, I thought I was supporting our family, but you were carrying us all while letting you believe you were in charge," I finished. "Yes." The elevator doors opened to the parking garage. "Let's go home," I said. "Those victory cookies should be cool enough to eat by now." As we drove home, Leah spoke up from the back seat. "Mom, can I help you bake something tomorrow?" "Of course, honey, but first I have a morning meeting with investors in Tokyo." "Can I watch that too?" I caught her eye in the rearview mirror and smiled. "Absolutely. It's time you learned that women can do anything, including running an empire while making the perfect chocolate chip cookies." "Speaking of empire," Uriel said quietly, "I think we have a lot to talk about." "Yes," I agreed, pulling into our driveway. "We certainly do." Back home, the familiar scent of cookies filled the air, but everything else felt different. Leah immediately pulled up news articles about me on her phone while Uriel paced the kitchen. "You're trending on Twitter," Leah announced. "People are calling you the cookie CEO and the stealth billionaire." "We need to talk," Uriel interrupted, his voice strained. "Really talk." I pulled the last batch of cookies from the oven. "Yes, we do." "I'll go to my room." Leah started to stand. "No," I said firmly. "You're part of this conversation too. Sit." We gathered around the kitchen island, the same spot where they'd dismissed me countless times. The irony wasn't lost on me. "How could you not tell me?" Uriel finally burst out. "We're married. We're supposed to share everything." "Share?" I laughed sharply. "Like how you shared your opinion that women don't understand business? Or how you shared your dismissal of every suggestion I made? That's not fair." "Not fair?" I slammed my hand on the counter, making them both jump. "You want to talk about fair? Let's talk about the night I closed my first major deal. I was on the phone in my office for hours, orchestrating a $100 million acquisition. Do you remember what you said when I came to bed late?" Uriel looked blank. "You said, 'If you're going to waste time chatting with your friends all night, at least keep it down.' Then you asked if I'd remembered to iron your shirts." Leah's eyes filled with tears. "Dad, you didn't—" "And you," I turned to her. "Remember last month when I missed your dance recital? You told everyone I was probably just watching soap operas and eating bonbons." "Mom, I'm so sorry." "I missed it because I was preventing a hostile takeover that would have cost 3,000 people their jobs. I watched the video of your performance during a board meeting break, hiding in my office bathroom so no one would see me cry because I couldn't be there." The silence that followed was deafening. "Why did you stay?" Uriel whispered. "With your money, your power, why put up with our disrespect?" "Because I love you both," I said simply. "And I kept hoping that someday you'd see me, really see me, without needing to know about my success." Leah reached for a cookie, then stopped. "All those times you baked? Were you actually on business calls with your earpiece in?" "Usually. Multitasking becomes second nature when you're living a double life." I smiled slightly. The PTA actually has a lot in common with board meetings, just different stakes. I told my friends you were pathetic, Leah's voice cracked. I was the pathetic one. I was so busy trying to be cool that I couldn't see how amazing you are. Honey. No, Mom. Let me finish. She stood up, tears streaming now. You're like a superhero. You ran this massive company and took care of us and let us treat you like you were nothing. How can you ever forgive me? I reached across the counter and took her hand. Because that's what mothers do. We love unconditionally. I don't deserve it, she whispered. No, Uriel stood up. We don't deserve it. I've been a terrible husband, Addison. I was so wrapped up in my own importance that I made you feel small. God, all those times I bragged about providing for the family. While I quietly paid off the mortgage and funded your successful investments, I added. He winced. I've been such a fool. Yes, you have. I pulled out my phone as it buzzed. Excuse me, Tokyo's calling. They watched in awe as I switched to flawless Japanese, conducting a multi-million-dollar negotiation while sliding another plate of cookies their way. After I hung up, Leah spoke up. Will you teach me? Not just the business stuff, but how to be strong like you. And humble, Uriel added quietly. I have a lot to learn about that. I looked at my family, really looked at them. The arrogance was gone from Uriel's face, replaced by genuine remorse and admiration. Leah's usual teenage disdain had transformed into something like reverence. Okay, I said. Let's start over, but this time we do it as equals. No more hiding, no more dismissing each other. Deal, they said in unison. My phone buzzed again, Clark with acquisition updates. But for once, it could wait. Right now, I had more important things to focus on. So, I smiled, who wants to learn how to make my famous victory cookies? Me? Leah jumped up. But can you tell us about the Tokyo deal while we bake? Of course. Uriel? He rolled up his sleeves. I'm ready to learn. Everything. And for the first time in years, we felt like a real family. One built on truth, respect, and maybe just a few $1 billion worth of cookies. The morning sun streamed through my office windows as I reviewed quarterly reports. A knock at the door made me look up. Come in, I called, smiling as Leah poked her head in. Hey, Mom. Ready for the presentation? Today marked Leah's first internship presentation at my company. She'd insisted on starting at entry level, wanting to earn her place rather than rely on nepotism. Just finishing up here. I closed my laptop. How are you feeling? Nervous, but good nervous. She smoothed her blazer, the one we'd picked out together. Dad's already in the conference room. The fact that Uriel now attended company events as a supportive spouse rather than the assumed breadwinner still felt like a small victory. We walked to the conference room together, passing Maya, who gave Leah a thumbs up. Inside, Uriel sat among the board members, looking proud but appropriately reserved. Good morning, everyone. I took my place at the head of the table. Today we'll be hearing project presentations from our summer interns. First up, Leah. She stood confidently, connecting her laptop to the projector. No one in the room except family knew she was my daughter. She'd insisted on using a different last name for the internship. Thank you, Mrs. Davidson, she began professionally. My team has identified several opportunities in the emerging AR market. As she presented, I caught Uriel's eye. He smiled, nodding slightly. We both remembered the day everything changed, when I'd revealed my secret empire. But this moment, watching our daughter command a room of executives, felt even more powerful. In conclusion, Leah finished, the projected ROI for this initiative is 47% in the first year alone. The room erupted in applause. Clark, sitting near the back, shot me a knowing look. Excellent work, I said, keeping my voice professional. Any questions? An older board member raised his hand. Just one. When can we start implementation? Leah blinked in surprise. You want to implement my proposal? It's solid, I replied. Unless anyone objects? The board's unanimous approval made Leah's face light up, but she maintained her composure, just like I'd taught her. After the meeting, we gathered in my office, me, Uriel, and Leah. The professional facades fell away. You crushed it! Uriel hugged Leah. That was amazing! Thanks, Dad. She turned to me. Mom, what did you really think? Honestly? I perched on my desk. Better than my first presentation, and you did it without hiding who you are. Speaking of hiding, Uriel said, pulling out a small box, we have something for you. Inside was a nameplate for my desk. It read, Addison Davidson, CEO, Mother, Cookie Connoisseur. Because you shouldn't have to be just one thing, Leah explained. Tears threatened, but I held them back. It's perfect, my phone buzzed. Flynn's old company was officially being merged with ours today, the last piece of that chapter falling into place. Mrs. Davidson, my assistant's voice came through the intercom. The press is here for the merger announcement. Ready for another press conference? I asked my family. Actually, Leah said, I baked cookies for it. Victory cookies. Your recipe. I raised an eyebrow. When did you have time? This morning before my presentation. I've learned from the best about multitasking. We walked to the press room together. No more secrets between us. The cameras flashed as we entered, but they didn't bother me anymore. I took my place at the podium, my family proudly by my side. Today marks not just a merger of companies, I began, but a testament to what's possible when we stop underestimating people, including ourselves. Leah distributed the cookies to the surprised reporters while I continued the announcement. Some things hadn't changed. I still baked, still attended PTA meetings, still helped with homework. But now I did it all openly, proudly. After the press conference back in my office, Uriel asked, Do you ever regret waiting so long to tell us the truth? No, I replied, straightening my new nameplate. We all needed to grow into who we are now. You needed to learn humility. Leah needed to learn respect. And I needed to learn that being underestimated doesn't make you weak. It makes you dangerous. In a good way, Leah added quickly. In the best way, I agreed. Now who's ready for lunch? I hear there's a great little cookie shop downtown. Mom, Leah groaned, then grinned. Actually, that sounds perfect. As we headed out, I caught my reflection in the office window. CEO, mother, wife, baker of victory cookies. Finally, perfectly, completely myself. And that was the sweetest victory of all. The call came at 2 a.m., my daughter's voice cracking through the speaker. Mom, I have nowhere to go. He kicked me out. My name is Summer, and in that moment, my world shifted. I'd been dreading this call ever since Iris married Jeremiah 2 years ago. Mother's intuition, they call it. I knew that smug smile of his was hiding something dark. I'm coming to get you. Where are you? I was already pulling on my boots, phone pressed between my ear and shoulder. The Starbucks on 5th. She was trying not to cry. I could hear it in her breathing, that careful control she'd learned from years of dance recitals and public speaking. Stay there, 20 minutes. The streets were empty as I drove, streetlights casting long shadows across the pavement. My hands gripped the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. I found her huddled in a corner of the coffee shop, a single duffel bag at her feet. Her mascara had left dark trails down her cheeks. Baby girl, I whispered, pulling her into my arms. She smelled like rain and desperation. He said I was nothing without him, she mumbled into my shoulder, that I'd never make it on my own, that everything I have is because of him. The fury rose in my chest like a tide. Tell me what happened. I found messages on his phone. He's been seeing someone from work. When I confronted him, he laughed. Actually laughed, Mom. Said I should be grateful for everything he's given me. Then he told me to get out. My phone buzzed. A text from Ava. Is she okay? I can come over. I typed back quickly. Got her. Come tomorrow. The drive home was quiet, broken only by Iris's occasional sniffles. I watched her from the corner of my eye, seeing shadows of myself 20 years ago. The same broken spirit, the same shame. But I had something now that I didn't have then. Power. At home, I made her chamomile tea, the same way I did when she had nightmares as a child. She curled up on my couch, looking so young in her oversized sweater. You can stay as long as you need, I said, sitting beside her. But there's something I need to tell you. She looked up, those green eyes so much like mine. What is it? Remember that summer I worked extra shifts at the diner, when you were 6? She nodded slowly. You were never home. Ava was so little, we stayed with Aunt Regina a lot. I wasn't just working at the diner. I took a deep breath. I made an investment. A friend had this startup idea, something about cloud computing. I put everything I had into it, sold my car, took out a loan. Everyone said I was crazy. Mom, what are you saying? That company is worth billions now. I own 8% of Tech Cloud Solutions. The teacup slipped from her hands, spilling across the carpet. Neither of us moved to clean it up. But you still live in this house. You drive a Honda. I kept it quiet. After what happened with your father, I learned that sometimes the best power is the one nobody knows you have. I reached for her hand. And now it's time to use it. I don't understand. My phone buzzed again. Regina. Documents are ready, meeting tomorrow? You're going to understand soon enough, I said, squeezing her hand. Jeremiah thinks he can break you because he controls the money. He thinks that makes him powerful. I smiled, remembering Collins's words from all those years ago. Sometimes the best revenge is becoming exactly what they said you couldn't be. Mom, you're scaring me a little. Don't be scared, baby. Be excited. Tomorrow, we're going to show Jeremiah exactly what you're worth without him. I pulled her close, feeling her tears soaking into my shirt. And trust me, it's going to be a lot more than he ever imagined. She pulled back, wiping her eyes. What are you planning? Let's just say I've been waiting for the right moment to help you spread your wings. I stood up, finally moving to clean up the spilled tea. Get some sleep. Tomorrow, we're meeting Regina and Collins. It's time to remind certain people that karma has perfect aim. As I tucked her into the guest bed later, just like when she was little, I couldn't help but smile. Jeremiah thought he was dealing with a helpless young wife and her middle-class mother. He had no idea what was coming. Sometimes the best stories are the ones where the villain never sees the ending coming until it's too late. Regina's office always reminded me of a movie set, all glass, chrome, and authority. She stood as we entered, her designer suit perfectly pressed despite the early hour. Summer, she smiled, then turned to Iris. Oh, honey. She wrapped my daughter in a hug before leading us to her conference room. Where's Collins? I asked, settling into one of the leather chairs. Running late. Traffic. Regina spread documents across the table. But we can start. Iris, how much do you know about what your mother's planning? Just that she has shares in Tech Cloud. Iris fidgeted with her sleeve. I still can't believe it. The door burst open and Eva rushed in, her pink hair a beacon of energy. Sorry I'm late. Had to dodge Jeremiah outside my apartment. He's looking for you, Iris. My stomach clenched. What did he want? To talk things through. I told him to shove it. Eva dropped into the chair next to her sister, grabbing her hand. You should have seen him, all dressed up in his stupid designer suit, acting like he's doing Iris a favor by wanting her back. Regina cleared her throat. Let's focus on what matters. Summer, you're sure about this? Absolutely. I nodded toward the papers. I want to transfer half my shares to Iris. Mom, no! Iris straightened. That's your money, your security. Actually, Collins's voice came from the doorway. Your mother's other half is still worth more than most people see in a lifetime. He strode in, looking exactly like the tech CEO he was in his casual blazer and jeans. The company's value doubled last quarter. Regina pulled out a calculator. At current market value, the transfer would make Iris worth approximately $47 million, Collins finished. The room went silent. Eva's mouth hung open. Iris gripped the table edge like she might faint. That's impossible, Iris whispered. That's technology stocks for you, Collins grinned. Your mother was one of our first investors. Believed in us when nobody else would. But the paperwork needs to be perfect, Regina interrupted. Jeremiah might try to claim part of it in the divorce. No, he won't, I said firmly, because this transfer happened before any divorce proceedings. Right, Regina? She smiled that shark-like smile I loved. Exactly. And I've backdated everything appropriately. Completely legal. Just strategic. Ava bounced in her seat. Oh my God, Iris. You're going to be richer than him. This is better than any revenge fantasy I've ever had. It's not about revenge, I said, even though part of me knew that wasn't entirely true. It's about making sure my daughter never feels powerless again. Collins leaned forward. The press release goes out tomorrow. Tech Cloud Solutions announces new major shareholder. We'll handle it delicately, but Jeremiah will see it, Iris finished, a small smile playing at her lips. He'll see it while eating his morning bagel, Eva cackled. I want to be there when he chokes on it. Regina pushed the papers toward Iris. Are you ready for this? It's not just money, it's responsibility, publicity, power. Iris picked up the pen, her hand trembling slightly. Will you help me, all of you? Every step of the way, I promised. Then yes. She signed her name with surprising steadiness. I'm ready. One more thing, Collins added, sliding over a business card. I know a fantastic real estate agent. Let's get you a place of your own, something with good security. Eva squealed. Ooh, can I help decorate? Please tell me we're going for modern minimalist just to spite Jeremiah's Victorian obsession. For the first time since that 2 a.m. call, Iris laughed, really laughed. Actually, I was thinking Art Deco. Perfect, Regina smiled. Now, let's talk about the press strategy. Iris, you'll need media training. My phone buzzed. A text from Jeremiah. Summer, tell Iris to stop being childish and come home. This is embarrassing. I showed it to Regina, who smirked. Oh, he has no idea what embarrassing feels like. Yet. As the others discussed interview techniques and investment strategies, I watched my daughter. Her spine was straightening, her voice growing stronger with each passing minute. The broken girl from last night was transforming before my eyes. Collins caught my eye and nodded slightly. He understood. He'd seen the same transformation in me 2 decades ago. Sometimes the best way to heal isn't just to survive, but to thrive so spectacularly that the past becomes nothing but a stepping stone. Mom? Iris's voice pulled me back. Thank you. Not just for this, but for showing me what strength really looks like. I squeezed her hand, feeling Eva's arms wrap around us both. Just remember, I said softly, the best revenge isn't just success, it's success with grace. But looking at Jeremiah's text again, I had to admit, the success part was going to be pretty satisfying too. The doorbell rang at exactly 7:30 p.m. I knew it was Jeremiah before I opened the door, only he would show up at dinner time expecting the world to accommodate his schedule. Where is she? He didn't wait for an invitation, trying to push past me into the house. I blocked his path. Not here. Don't lie to me, Summer. His perfectly tailored suit couldn't hide the rage simmering beneath his polished exterior. Her car's in your driveway. And you're trespassing on my property. I kept my voice steady, remembering Collins's warning about staying calm and documenting everything. My phone was already recording in my pocket. I know what you're doing, he snarled, stepping closer, filling her head with ideas about independence. She needs me. She's nothing without... Careful, I interrupted. You might want to think very carefully about your next words. He laughed, that same dismissive laugh Iris had described. Or what? You'll call the police? On me? Do you know who I am in this town? Do you know who I am? That threw him for a moment. I saw uncertainty flicker across his face. You're a waitress who got lucky with a house inheritance, he sneered, recovering. Don't pretend. Mom? Eva's voice came from behind me. Everything okay? Regina's on the phone, wants to know if we should call security. Jeremiah's face reddened. You've got her sister involved now, too. This is a private matter between me and my wife. Soon-to-be ex-wife, Eva shot back. And unlike you, we actually care about Iris. This is ridiculous. He pulled out his phone. I'm calling my lawyer. Good idea, I smiled. I'm sure Pierce would love to explain tomorrow's news to you early. That stopped him cold. What news? You'll find out soon enough. I started closing the door. Now get off my property before I press charges for harassment. This isn't over, he growled, but he was already backing away. Tell Iris she's making a huge mistake. The only mistake she made was marrying you, Eva called after him. Once he was gone, I let out a breath I didn't know I'd been holding. Eva hugged me tight. That was badass, Mom. My phone buzzed. Collins calling. Summer, security cameras caught everything. Want me to send a team to watch the house? No need, I replied, watching Jeremiah's car disappear down the street. But save that footage. Already done. How's Iris holding up? At the new apartment with Regina, preparing for tomorrow. I closed the front door, double-checking the locks. Remember when we first met? When I was just a waitress with a crazy idea about investing in your startup? He chuckled. You weren't just a waitress. You were the only person who read my entire business plan and asked actual intelligent questions. That's why I offered you shares instead of just taking your money. Jeremiah just called me a waitress who got lucky. Well, Collins's voice hardened. He's about to learn how wrong he is. The press release goes live at 9 a.m. Regina's got 3 interviews lined up for Iris next week. The story of a young woman breaking free and becoming a tech industry power player? The media's going to love it. Eva, who was listening on speaker, grinned. Can we please record his reaction when he sees it? Actually, Collins said, I have something better. My assistant just forwarded me an interesting email. Seems Jeremiah's been embezzling from his firm. Not much, but enough to raise eyebrows if anyone were to look closely. My stomach dropped. Collins, no, we're not going there. Mom's right, Eva said. We need to be better than him. Fine, Collins sighed, but I'm keeping the information just in case. After hanging up, I found myself staring at an old photo on my wall, Iris at her wedding, beaming up at Jeremiah. She looked so hopeful, so certain of her future. My phone buzzed again, a text from Jeremiah. You have no idea what you're starting. Back off now, or everyone will know what really happened in Seattle 15 years ago. Eva read the text over my shoulder. Mom? What's he talking about? I felt the blood drain from my face. Nothing. An old story. It doesn't matter. But my hands were shaking as I typed a response to Collins. We need to talk. About Seattle. Eva touched my arm. Mom, you're scaring me. It's nothing, I repeated, but even I didn't believe it anymore. Just old ghosts. My phone lit up with Iris's face. Mom, Regina just showed me the final press release. Are you sure about this? Once it goes public? I'm sure, I said, pushing Seattle to the back of my mind. Are you? Yes, she said firmly. I'm ready to show him who I really am. I ended the call, trying to ignore the growing knot in my stomach. Tomorrow would change everything. I just hoped the past stayed where it belonged. But Jeremiah's text glowed ominously on my screen, a reminder that some secrets refuse to stay buried. The news broke like a tsunami. By 9:15 a.m., Iris's phone wouldn't stop ringing, and my social media was flooded with friend requests from people I hadn't heard from in decades. Look at this. Eva thrust her phone at us over breakfast in Iris's new penthouse apartment. Unknown waitress's daughter becomes tech industry power player overnight. They're calling you a modern Cinderella story, sis. Iris barely looked up from her laptop. Regina says to ignore the press for now. Focus on the shareholders' meeting next week. Smart girl, Collins said, walking in with fresh coffee. But you might want to look at this one. He turned on the TV, where Jeremiah's face filled the screen. My wife is going through a difficult time, he was saying to a reporter outside his office. These recent business developments are concerning, and I'm worried about her mental state. I just want her to come home so we can work things out. Eva threw a muffin at the TV. Mental state? Are you kidding me? It's a classic move, Regina said, entering with a stack of papers. Trying to paint her as unstable to discredit her, but we're ready for that. She handed Iris a document. Your statement for the press conference this afternoon. Press conference? I asked, alarmed. Mom, we talked about this, Iris said gently. I need to show I'm capable and confident. No hiding. My phone buzzed. Another text from Jeremiah. Last chance, Summer. Seattle. Think about it. Collins caught my expression. Everything okay? Fine, I lied, deleting the message. Just nervous about the press conference. The elevator dinged and Pierce, our lawyer, strode in. We've got a problem. Jeremiah's filing for an emergency hearing, claims Iris is being manipulated and demands a psychiatric evaluation. He what? Iris stood so quickly her chair toppled backward. It won't stick, Regina assured her. But we need to respond quickly. Pierce, draft a counter motion. Eva, get those photos of Jeremiah threatening your mom last night. Collins, we need the security footage. Already uploading, Collins nodded. My phone rang, an unknown number. When I answered, the voice was familiar, though I hadn't heard it in 15 years. Summer? We need to talk about Seattle. I stepped onto the balcony, closing the door behind me. Marcus, how did you... Jeremiah's people contacted me. They're digging. If this gets out... It won't. I cut him off. That case was sealed. Cases can be unsealed. People can talk. Are you sure you want to do this to your daughter? I watched through the glass as Iris practiced her statement, standing tall and confident. I'm not doing anything to her. I'm helping her. Like you helped me? His voice turned bitter. Just think about it, Summer. Some secrets should stay buried. The call ended. When I turned around, Collins was watching me. Seattle? He asked quietly. Don't, I warned. Inside, Iris was addressing an imaginary crowd. Yes, I'm young. Yes, this is sudden. But I've earned my place here, and I intend to use this position to help other women find their voice and their value. Eva cheered. Perfect. Jeremiah's going to lose it when he sees this. As if on cue, the elevator dinged again. This time, Jeremiah himself stepped out. Security breach, Collins snapped into his phone. Penthouse level. Get out. Regina moved toward him, but Jeremiah held up his hands. I just want to talk. Iris, baby, please. Whatever they're telling you. They're telling me the truth. Iris's voice was steady. That I'm worth more than your mind games. That I deserve better than your lies. Lies? He laughed that horrible laugh again. Ask your mother about lies. Ask her about Seattle. Ask her what really happened to... That's enough. I stepped between them. Security's on their way up. Leave now or leave in handcuffs. He straightened his tie. Fine, but this isn't over. The hearing's tomorrow at 9. Hope you're ready to explain everything, Summer. Everything. After he left, the room was silent. Eva looked between Iris and me. Mom? What was he talking about? Nothing, I said automatically, but Iris shook her head. No more secrets, Mom. What happened in Seattle? I looked at Collins, who nodded slightly. Tell them. They need to be prepared. Okay, I sighed, sinking into a chair. But first, you need to understand something about your father's death. It wasn't exactly an accident. The room grew very quiet. Through the window, I could see Jeremiah's car pulling away, and I wondered if he knew he'd just started a war he couldn't win. Because some secrets, once revealed, don't destroy you. They set you free. Your father was a good man, I began, watching my daughter's faces carefully, until he wasn't. Mom, Eva whispered, what are you saying? He started drinking, heavily. One night in Seattle, I gripped the armrests. He tried to kill me. I fought back. He fell down the stairs. Iris covered her mouth. But the police report said... Marcus was the responding officer, Collins interrupted. He knew your mother, knew what she'd been through. He helped make it look like an accident. To protect us, I added quickly. You girls were so young. I couldn't let you grow up with that story. Regina placed a hand on my shoulder. The statute of limitations has long passed. They can't prosecute you for self-defense now. But they can destroy my reputation, I said. And yours, Iris. Daughter of killer takes control of tech giant. Jeremiah knows exactly what he's doing. Let him try. Eva stood up, fierce and protective. Mom, you protected us then. Let us protect you now. The elevator dinged again. This time Pierce rushed in, waving papers. Emergency hearing's been moved up. Judge wants to see everyone in an hour. What? Regina grabbed the documents. They can't do that. They did. Jeremiah's lawyer claimed immediate psychological danger to Iris. Iris laughed bitterly. The only danger to my mental health was being married to him. Get dressed, Regina ordered. Everyone. Court clothes. We're doing this now. The next hour was a blur of activity. By the time we entered the courthouse, reporters lined the steps. Mrs. Baker, they shouted at Iris. Is it true you're having a breakdown? Ms. Parker, she corrected firmly, using her maiden name. And I've never been more clear-headed. Inside, Jeremiah waited with his lawyer. He smirked when he saw me. Ready to tell the truth, Summer? Are you? Colin stepped forward. Because I have some interesting documents about your firm's finances. Jeremiah's smirk faltered. The judge, an older woman named Martinez, called us to order. Jeremiah's lawyer spoke first, painting a picture of a vulnerable young wife led astray by her manipulative mother. And we have evidence, he announced, that Mrs. Parker has a history of violence. Objection, Pierce stood. Irrelevant and prejudicial. I'll allow it, Judge Martinez said, but tread carefully. Jeremiah's lawyer produced a sealed file. Seattle, 2008. A suspicious death ruled an accident. Your Honor, Regina interrupted, if opposing counsel is attempting to introduce sealed records from another jurisdiction. I have the unsealing order right here, the lawyer smiled. My heart stopped. But before he could continue, Iris stood up. Your Honor, may I speak? The judge nodded. My mother protected me from an abusive father when I was a child. Now she's protecting me from an abusive husband. The only difference is, this time, I'm old enough to stand up and say, enough. Mrs. Baker, Jeremiah's lawyer started. Ms. Parker, Iris corrected again, and I'm not finished. You want to talk about mental stability? Let's talk about how my husband threatened my mother yesterday. How he's trying to use a 15-year-old tragedy to maintain control. How he told me I was worthless without him. She pulled out her phone, playing the security footage from her mother's house. Jeremiah's threats echoed through the courtroom. Your Honor, Pierce stood, we have evidence of a clear pattern of emotional and financial abuse. Mr. Baker's emergency petition is nothing more than an attempt to maintain control over my client's newly acquired assets. Judge Martinez studied Jeremiah, who was turning redder by the second. Mr. Baker, do you have anything to say? This is all manipulation, he sputtered. They're trying to steal what's rightfully mine. Nothing was ever yours, Iris said quietly. That's what you never understood. The judge removed her glasses. I've heard enough. Petition denied. Furthermore, I'm issuing a temporary restraining order against Mr. Baker, 300 feet from both Ms. Parker and her mother. This isn't over, Jeremiah stood up, pointing at me. I'll make sure everyone knows what you did. Mr. Baker, Judge Martinez's voice cracked like a whip. One more word and you'll be held in contempt. Bailiff, please escort him out. Outside, the reporters waited, but this time Iris was ready. Yes, my mother killed my father, she announced clearly. She did it defending herself from a drunk man trying to murder her. She did it protecting her children, and now she's helping me protect myself. That's not manipulation, that's love. The cameras flashed as Jeremiah was led out a side door, his face twisted with rage. Well, Colin said quietly, I guess Seattle's not a secret anymore. No, I agreed, watching my daughter stand tall before the press. But neither is her strength. Eva squeezed my hand. You okay, Mom? I nodded, feeling lighter than I had in 15 years. Sometimes the truth hurts less than the secrets we keep to protect it. But as we left the courthouse, I couldn't shake the feeling that Jeremiah had one more card to play, and knowing him, it would be his cruelest move yet. We should call it Phoenix Rising, Eva suggested, sprawled across Iris's new office couch. 2 weeks had passed since the courthouse showdown, and we were brainstorming names for Iris's foundation. Too cliché, Regina said, not looking up from her laptop. We need something stronger. Iris paced by the floor-to-ceiling windows. What about the Worth Project? Simple, direct. I like it, I nodded, but before I could say more, Collins burst into the room. Turn on the news. Now. Regina grabbed the remote. Jeremiah's face filled the screen, standing at a podium. My heart breaks for my wife, he was saying, his voice trembling perfectly. First, the trauma of losing her father so young, then being raised by the woman who killed him. The cycle of violence and manipulation. That snake, Eva threw a pillow at the TV. But what truly concerns me, Jeremiah continued, is the money. Where did Summer really get the funds to invest in TechCloud? The timing coincides perfectly with several unsolved bank robberies in Seattle. The room went silent. He's trying to trigger an SEC investigation, Collins said quietly. If they freeze the assets during an investigation. Everything stops, Regina finished. The foundation, the transfers, all of it. My phone rang. Marcus again. Summer, turn on the news. Already watching. What's he talking about? What bank robberies? There were 3 right before you invested with Collins. Your husband's death, then the robberies, then your sudden move. Some detective's been connecting dots that aren't there. But that's insane, I protested. I was working double shifts at the diner. Do you have proof? Records from 15 years ago? I felt the blood drain from my face. The diner burned down 12 years ago. All their records were lost. Exactly, Marcus sighed. Summer, they're reopening the investigation into your husband's death, too. I can't help this time. I hung up as Iris turned to me. Mom, tell me this isn't true. Of course it's not true. Eva jumped up. Jeremiah's making this up. The investment funds came from selling my car, taking out a loan, and every spare penny I had, I said firmly. Collins, you remember. He nodded slowly. I remember the cash, but did you keep any records? It was 15 years ago. I was trying to start over, not document everything. Regina was already on her phone. Pierce, we need to get ahead of this. Draft a statement. Wait, Iris interrupted. She walked to her desk and pressed the intercom. Sarah, call a press conference. 1 hour. Iris, no, I started, but she held up her hand. Mom, you protected me my whole life. Now it's my turn. She turned to Collins. You trust my mother, right? With my life, he said without hesitation. Then prove it. Stand with me at the press conference. Show them that TechCloud's CEO never doubted where the investment came from. The SEC won't care about that, Regina warned. They'll want documentation. Then we'll give them documentation, Eva said suddenly. Mom, remember Mrs. Rodriguez? From the diner? She used to do the books before the fire. She might remember. She moved to Florida years ago, I said. So we'll find her. Social media exists for a reason. My phone buzzed with a text from Jeremiah. Ready to back down yet? Collins read it over my shoulder and smiled grimly. He's getting desperate, making wild accusations instead of calculated moves. Because he knows he's losing control, Iris said. She straightened her jacket and headed for the door. Coming to the press conference? Iris, I called after her. What are you going to say? She turned back, and for a moment I saw such strength in her eyes it took my breath away. I'm going to tell them that my mother taught me the most valuable lesson. Sometimes the people who try to destroy you are the ones most afraid of your power. Eva linked her arm through mine. Found her. Mrs. Rodriguez is in Tampa, still running a diner. I'll have my jet ready in an hour, Collins offered. First the press conference, Regina said. Then Tampa. As we headed down to face the media circus, I felt strangely calm. Jeremiah thought he could bury us in lies and accusations. But he forgot one thing. The truth doesn't need perfect documentation to be true. Mom? Iris squeezed my hand as the elevator descended. Whatever happens, I want you to know something. Everything I am, everything I'm becoming, it's because you showed me how to rise from the ashes. Speaking of rising, Eva grinned, I still vote for Phoenix Rising. We all laughed, and for a moment, the weight of Jeremiah's accusations lifted. He could throw all the mud he wanted. Some things are simply unshakable, like the truth, like family, like love. But as the elevator doors opened to a sea of flashing cameras, I saw him standing there, smirking. And I knew this battle was far from over. The Tampa diner looked exactly like the one I used to work in, right down to the neon "open" sign flickering in the window. Mrs. Rodriguez hadn't changed either. Same kind eyes, same no-nonsense expression. Summer? She squinted through her reading glasses. My God, is that really you? Hi, Rosa, I smiled, sliding into a booth. I need your help. She listened as I explained everything. Iris, Jeremiah, the accusations. When I finished, she stood up without a word and disappeared into the back room. Mom? Eva whispered. What if she doesn't? Here. Mrs. Rodriguez returned with a battered shoebox. I kept everything when the diner burned down. Call it a habit from growing up under a dictatorship. Always keep papers that prove your truth. Inside were payroll records, bank deposit slips, even my original work schedule showing the double shifts. My phone buzzed. Regina. SEC agents are here. Where are you? Found it, I texted back, snapping photos of the documents. Sending proof now. Mrs. Rodriguez patted my hand. I remember those days, Summer. How hard you worked. No one who knew you then would believe these lies. The diner's TV suddenly caught our attention. Breaking news banner. Tech Cloud CEO Collins steps down amid investigation. What? Eva grabbed her phone. That wasn't part of the plan, Collins answered on the first ring. Had to do it, Summer. They were going to suspend trading of our stock. This way the company's protected while we fight. Fight what? I demanded. Jeremiah's lawyer just submitted surveillance footage from Seattle, the night before the robberies. Shows you meeting with known criminals. My blood ran cold. That's impossible. Mom? Eva's voice shook. What's he talking about? The support group, I whispered. For domestic abuse survivors. Some of them had records. We met in that coffee shop every week. Mrs. Rodriguez was already pulling out her phone. I was there too, remember? I drove you to those meetings. I'll testify. But the hits kept coming. Regina called next. Jeremiah's pushing for an emergency shareholders meeting, trying to force Iris out. He can't do that, Eva protested. She owns the shares. He's claiming they're proceeds of criminal activity, if he can prove that. My phone lit up with another call. Iris this time. Mom, come back now, please. He's here at the office with the FBI. We raced to the airport, Collins's private jet waiting. During the flight, the news kept getting worse. TechCloud's stock was plummeting. Jeremiah had somehow gotten Marcus to change his story, claiming he'd helped cover up more than just my husband's death. This doesn't make sense, Eva said, scrolling through news articles. How is Jeremiah doing all this? Because he's not working alone, Collins replied grimly. Someone with serious power is helping him. Someone who doesn't want Iris to have control of TechCloud. The pieces suddenly clicked. The merger, I gasped. The one you blocked last month. Who was trying to buy the company? Collins's face darkened. Global Tech Partners, run by Jeremiah's father, Eva finished. Oh my God. We landed to chaos. Reporters swarmed the airport, shouting questions. Police cars surrounded TechCloud's building. And there, on the steps, stood Jeremiah with his father, a silver-haired man in an expensive suit who radiated power. Mrs. Parker, an FBI agent approached as we got out of the car. We need you to come with us. No. Iris's voice rang out across the plaza. She strode toward us, Regina at her side. You want to question my mother? Do it here, in public. Let everyone see what's really happening. Iris, Jeremiah called out, don't make this worse. Just sign the shares over and all this goes away. Like hell it does, Eva snapped. Mrs. Rodriguez stepped forward, her shoebox clutched tight. I have proof of Summer's income. Every penny she invested came from honest work. And I have proof of what really happened in Seattle, a new voice called out. We turned to see Marcus pushing through the crowd, holding a file. The real file, not the doctored one you paid me to create. Jeremiah's father moved forward, menacing. Think carefully about what you're doing, officer. Oh, I have, Marcus replied. 15 years of thinking about it. And I'm done being afraid of men like you. The FBI agent took the file, reading quickly. His expression changed. Sir, he said into his radio, we need to redirect this investigation. No! Jeremiah lunged forward, but security held him back. You can't do this. I had it all planned. The evidence, the timing, the confession? Eva held up her phone, recording. Thanks for that, by the way. The plaza erupted in chaos. Reporters surged forward as Jeremiah's father was led to a police car, his son shouting accusations behind him. But through it all, Iris stood tall, her hand finding mine. Ready to finish this? She asked. I squeezed her hand, feeling stronger than ever. Together. Because sometimes karma needs a little help, and sometimes justice wears a pantsuit and carries a shoebox full of truth. The Worth Foundation proudly announces its first grant recipients, Iris read from the podium, her voice strong and clear. The auditorium was packed with journalists, business leaders, and most importantly, women ready to rebuild their lives. I sat in the front row between Eva and Mrs. Rodriguez, who'd moved back to help run the foundation. Behind us, Collins and Regina exchanged proud smiles. Each of these 10 women has a story, Iris continued. of being told they weren't enough, of being controlled, diminished, erased. Today, they begin writing new stories. My phone buzzed with a news alert. Former tech CEO pleads guilty in corporate conspiracy case. Jeremiah's father's face filled the screen, followed by a smaller photo of Jeremiah being led into court. Ava peeked at my phone and whispered, "Karma's got amazing timing." Our first recipient, Iris announced, is opening a chain of diners that will employ and train survivors of domestic violence. The idea came from my mother's story, how a simple diner job became the foundation of a new life. Mrs. Rodriguez squeezed my hand as the young woman walked onto stage, beaming. Our second recipient is launching a financial literacy program for women leaving abusive relationships, because knowledge isn't just power, it's freedom. One by one, the women took the stage, each story different, each dream unique, but all sharing that same fire I'd seen grow in Iris's eyes. And finally, Iris smiled, I'd like to announce that TechCloud will be matching every grant, dollar for dollar. Because when women support women, mountains move. The applause was deafening. As people began mingling afterward, Collins approached with a tablet. "Stock's up 40% since the announcement," he grinned. "Turns out ethical leadership is good for business. Who knew?" Speaking of business, Regina joined us. The divorce is final. Jeremiah didn't contest it. Smart move, considering he's facing his own legal troubles. "Mom!" Eva called from across the room. "Come meet Sarah! She's opening the diners!" The young woman had my old determination in her eyes. "Mrs. Rodriguez is helping me design the training program," she said. "We're calling it the Phoenix Project." "Finally," Ava laughed. "My name suggestion wins." "Actually," Iris appeared beside us, "that was my suggestion. I just let you think it was yours." "Sneaky," Eva hugged her sister. "You're learning." A reporter approached, notebook ready. "Ms. Parker, how does it feel knowing your mother's story inspired all this?" Iris looked at me, her eyes shining. "My mother taught me that true strength isn't in hiding our scars, but in helping others heal theirs. Everything here today, it's just the beginning." The reporter turned to me. "And you, Mrs. Parker? How does it feel seeing your daughter turn personal tragedy into community triumph?" Before I could answer, Marcus walked in, now wearing his detective's badge again. "Sorry to interrupt, but I thought you'd want to see this." He handed me an envelope. Inside was a letter from the Seattle Police Department, officially closing my husband's case. Self-defense, justified. No further investigation needed. 15 years, I whispered. "Some truths take time," Marcus said, "but they always surface." "Mom," Iris touched my arm. "You okay?" I looked around the room, at Ava chatting with grant recipients, at Mrs. Rodriguez sharing diner management tips, at Collins and Regina discussing expansion plans, at my daughter standing tall and proud, no longer anyone's victim. "I'm better than okay," I smiled. "I'm free. We all are." "Good," Iris grinned, "because we have work to do. The foundation's getting applications from all over the country." "The world, actually," Regina corrected, showing us her tablet. "We've gone viral. Women everywhere want to be part of this." "Then we better get started," I said. As we gathered for a group photo, I felt something I hadn't experienced in years, pure, uncomplicated joy. Jeremiah had tried to shame us with the past, but instead he'd helped us build a future. Every accusation, every threat had only made our foundation stronger. "Ready?" the photographer called. "Wait," Eva ran over. "Family should be together." She pulled me and Iris close, Mrs. Rodriguez joining us. Collins and Regina squeezed in too, because family isn't always about blood. "Perfect," the photographer said. "Everyone say, Phoenix." We laughed, and in that moment, I knew we'd done more than just survive. We'd shown every woman watching that your worst day doesn't have to define you. That sometimes the people who try to break you end up giving you the pieces to build something beautiful. The camera flashed, capturing not just smiles, but triumph. Because revenge isn't always about destroying your enemies. Sometimes it's about building something so magnificent that they become irrelevant. And that's the sweetest victory of all.
The crumpled paper trembled in my hands as I read the words that would shatter my world. My 8-year-old daughter's messy handwriting stretched across the pink paper, addressed not to me, but to Santa Claus. Dear Santa, I don't want any toys this year. Could you please make Daddy come home more? Mommy tries to smile, but I know she's sad when he's not here. Maybe you could give him a job closer to home so he doesn't have to work so late. Love, Sophia. I'm Alea, and until that moment, I thought I was living the suburban dream. Funny how a child's innocent wish can rip away years of carefully constructed denial. Mommy, did you find my letter? Sophia called from the kitchen, where she was supposed to be finishing her homework. I wanted to mail it early, so Santa has time to think about it. I quickly wiped my eyes. Yes, sweetie, I found it. My voice somehow stayed steady. How about we have some hot chocolate while you finish that math? With marshmallows? Extra marshmallows, I promised, tucking the letter into my pocket. The paper felt like it was burning against my thigh. Later that night, after Sophia was asleep, I sat at my old easel in the garage, my makeshift studio. The canvas before me remained blank, just like the answers I sought. My phone buzzed with Wallace's nightly text. Working late again, don't wait up. I picked up my brush, dipped it in crimson paint, and made a single violent stroke across the canvas. The color reminded me of the lipstick stain I'd found on his collar last month. He'd claimed it was from when I hugged him that morning. I hadn't worn red lipstick in years. My phone rang, startling me. It was Lorelei. You're in the garage again, aren't you? She asked without preamble. Where else would I be at midnight? Have you talked to him yet? I stared at the red slash on my canvas. About what? About how he's working late 4 nights a week? About how Sophia's asking Santa to bring her father home? Jesus, Alea! Lorelei's voice softened. What did Sophia say exactly? I pulled out the letter and read it to her, my voice cracking on the last few words. That manipulative bastard, Lorelei hissed. You know he's not working, right? Nobody works that much overtime in accounting. I know. The words felt like glass in my throat. I needed proof before I said anything. I needed to be sure. And now? Now I have my daughter writing letters to Santa about her absent father. I grabbed another brush, this time choosing midnight blue. You know what the worst part is? Last week, when he actually came home for dinner, Sophia was so excited she could barely eat. She kept watching him like he might disappear if she blinked. What are you going to do? The garage door suddenly hummed to life, making me jump. He's home. I have to go. Alea, wait! I ended the call just as Wallace walked in, his tie loosened, shirt wrinkled. He smiled that same smile that used to make my heart skip. Now it just made my stomach turn. Still painting? He asked, setting down his briefcase. It's late. Still working? I countered, watching his face carefully. It's late. Something flickered in his eyes. Worry? Guilt? But his smile never wavered. Year-end reports. You know how it is. He loosened his tie further. Jonathan's really pushing us to get everything done before the holidays. I thought about Sophia's letter, about the lipstick stain, about all the missed dinners and school events, about the way he always smelled like fresh cologne when he came home late, as if he'd just applied it. How is Jonathan? I asked casually, cleaning my brush. Sophia's been asking about the company picnic. Remember last year when he gave her that giant teddy bear? Wallace's hand paused on his briefcase. Oh, he's good. Busy, you know. Actually, he's been out of town a lot lately. I nodded slowly, remembering the conversation I'd had with Jonathan's wife at the grocery store just yesterday, where she'd mentioned how nice it was having him home more since his surgery last month. I'm heading up to bed, Wallace said, already turning away. Don't stay up too late. I watched him go, my hand clenching around Sophia's letter in my pocket. The red slash across my canvas seemed to pulse in the dim garage light, like a warning sign I'd been ignoring for too long. Don't worry, I whispered to the empty garage. I won't. The art gallery buzzed with the kind of energy I hadn't felt in years. Paintings lined the pristine walls, each one competing for attention, but I couldn't take my eyes off the visitor log I'd just discovered at the reception desk. "Can I help you find anything?" The gallery assistant smiled politely. "No, I'm just—" My voice trailed off as I spotted a familiar signature. Wallace's distinctive scrawl, dated just 3 days ago. Another night, he was supposedly working late. "Are you an artist?" the assistant asked, noticing my intense study of the guest book. Before I could answer, a striking woman in a black dress approached. "She absolutely is. I've seen her work at the community center." She extended her hand. "I'm Tessa. Your piece with the red slash through darkness? Breathtaking." I shook her hand, surprised. "That was just— I'm not really—" "Don't downplay it," Tessa interrupted. "Raw emotion like that deserves to be seen. Are you showing anywhere else?" My phone buzzed. Another text from Wallace. "Stuck in traffic, don't hold dinner." I switched off my phone. "Actually, I'm looking to get back into it seriously. Do you have any suggestions?" Tessa's eyes lit up. "The Spring Arts Festival is accepting submissions. It's in Millbrook, about 40 minutes from here." She pulled out her business card. "I'm on the selection committee. Send me your portfolio." Millbrook, the same town Wallace claimed his new client was in. Later that afternoon, I met Lorelei at our usual coffee spot. She nearly spilled her latte when I told her about the gallery. "He signed the guest book?" She shook her head. "Amateur move. That's not all." I pulled out my laptop, opening the browser history I'd recovered from our shared computer. "Look at these searches. Apartments in Millbrook. Best restaurants Millbrook. Jewelry stores Millbrook." "Jewelry stores?" Lorelei's eyes widened. "Oh, honey. I'm entering the Spring Arts Festival," I announced, changing the subject before tears could form. "It's time to dust off my degree in fine arts." "About damn time." Lorelei grinned. "But what's your real plan?" I leaned forward, lowering my voice. "The festival's a big deal in Millbrook. Local news coverage, social events. Perfect excuse to be in town." Lorelei finished. "Sneaky, I like it." That evening, I was in my garage studio when Wallace came home early for once. He paused in the doorway, frowning at my newly organized space. "You're painting again?" He loosened his tie. "I thought that was just a hobby. Things change." I continued working on my piece, a woman's silhouette, fractured into pieces. "How was work?" "Fine. Jonathan's got me handling that Millbrook account." "Millbrook." I kept my voice casual. "That's where the Spring Arts Festival is held. I'm entering this year." The paintbrush in my hand trembled slightly as I watched his reaction in my peripheral vision. His shoulders tensed. "You're what?" He stepped closer. "Since when are you interested in art festivals?" "Since always. You'd know that if you were ever home." The words slipped out before I could stop them. Silence filled the garage. Wallace's phone chimed. He checked it quickly, angling the screen away from me. "I should go shower before dinner," he muttered, already retreating. The next morning, I drove to Millbrook, Sophia's letter tucked in my purse like a talisman. The town was smaller than I expected, its main street lined with boutiques and cafes. I parked outside the festival office, but something across the street caught my eye. A real estate agency. Through the window, I could see a wall of property listings. And there, speaking to an agent, was Wallace. My hands gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. I watched as he pointed to various listings, smiling and nodding. A woman joined him, placing her hand on his arm with casual intimacy. She was beautiful, younger, wearing a red dress that probably matched her lipstick. My phone rang, making me jump. It was Tessa. "I got your portfolio," she said without preamble. "It's perfect for what we're looking for. Raw, honest, emotional. The festival committee meets tomorrow. Can you make it?" I watched Wallace and the woman leave the real estate office, walking close together. "Tomorrow's perfect," I replied, my voice steady despite the storm in my chest. I wouldn't miss it for anything. After hanging up, I sat in my car, watching them disappear around a corner. I pulled out Sophia's letter, reading it one more time. Then I took out my sketchbook and began to draw, capturing every detail of what I'd just witnessed. Every line felt like a weapon I was sharpening, every shadow a truth I was uncovering. The festival wouldn't know what hit it. Neither would Wallace. The community center's walls transformed under our hands as Tessa and I hung the last pieces for my exhibition. Each canvas told a story, my story, though viewers wouldn't know it yet. "This one's going to start conversations," Tessa said, stepping back from the centerpiece. A man's silhouette split between two frames, one showing a perfect family scene, the other depicting a shadowy figure in a doorway. "That's the point." I adjusted the lighting. Art should make people uncomfortable sometimes. My phone buzzed. Wallace. "Working late again. Big presentation tomorrow." I showed Tessa the message. "He has no idea I'm here." "Men never suspect their wives of having lives beyond them," she replied, rolling her eyes. "Speaking of which, have you met Jonathan's wife? She's coming tonight." My heart skipped. Wallace's boss's wife? Small world, right? The exhibition opening exceeded my expectations. The room filled with local art enthusiasts, critics, and curious onlookers. I spotted Jonathan's wife, Margaret, studying my split-frame piece. "It's about duality," I explained, approaching her. "How people can live two completely different lives." "Fascinating." She sipped her wine. "Jonathan mentioned Wallace has been handling some big accounts lately, keeping him quite busy." "Really?" I tilted my head. "Even after Jonathan's surgery?" Margaret frowned. "Surgery? The one that's kept him home more recently?" Her confusion deepened. "My husband hasn't had any surgery." Before she could ask more questions, Lorelei appeared, grabbing my arm. "Sorry to interrupt, but there's someone you need to meet." She pulled me toward a distinguished-looking man in an expensive suit. "This is Jonathan." My throat went dry. Wallace's boss, the man who supposedly had him working late nights, was standing in my exhibition. "Remarkable work," he said, extending his hand. "Especially this series about deception. Very relevant to our times." I studied his face carefully. "Thank you. Actually, I'd love your opinion on something. My husband works for you." "Wallace?" Jonathan's expression shifted slightly. "Interesting coincidence. I was just telling my wife I haven't seen much of him lately. He's been managing that Millbrook project independently." "The one keeping him at the office until midnight?" I asked innocently. Jonathan's eyebrows rose. "We close the office at 6. The pieces clicked into place like a lock tumbling open. I excused myself and headed for the bathroom, hands shaking as I pulled out my phone. A quick search of local news in Millbrook brought up what I was looking for: a society page photo from last week's charity gala. There, in the background, Wallace stood with his arm around the woman in the red dress. The caption read, "Local business owner Daphne McGregor with guest at annual Children's Hospital benefit." I was still staring at the photo when the bathroom door opened. Tessa walked in. "You knew," I said, showing her the photo. "About Wallace and Daphne." She nodded slowly. "I've seen them around Millbrook. I wasn't sure how to tell you." "Why didn't you?" "Because you needed to find out on your own terms. To be ready." She leaned against the sink. "The festival committee loves your work, by the way, especially the pieces about betrayal." I laughed bitterly. If they only knew. That night, I waited up for Wallace. He came home just before midnight, smelling of unfamiliar perfume. "You're still awake." He loosened his tie. I thought, "How was the presentation?" I interrupted, not looking up from my sketchbook. "Good. Successful." He set down his briefcase. "What are you working on?" I turned the sketch toward him, a detailed drawing of him and Daphne outside the real estate office. The color drained from his face. "Alea, I can explain." "Can you explain it to Sophia?" I stood up, my voice deadly calm. "Can you explain why she had to write to Santa, begging him to bring her daddy home?" "You don't understand." I understand perfectly." I gathered my sketches. "By the way, Jonathan came to my exhibition tonight." Funny, he seems surprised you've been working late, considering the office closes at 6. Wallace stepped toward me. Let's talk about this. No, I moved past him. I'm done talking. But don't worry, I won't say anything yet. I'm saving that for the Spring Arts Festival in Millbrook. I hear it's quite the social event. Daphne will be there, won't she? I left him standing in the garage, his mouth open, but no words coming out. Upstairs, I checked on Sophia, sleeping peacefully with her stuffed animals. Don't worry, baby, I whispered. Mommy's going to fix everything. I closed her door softly, already planning my next series of paintings. They would tell a story of betrayal, revenge, and justice, and this time, everyone would know exactly who inspired them. The Millbrook Art Center hummed with activity as Tessa and I set up my new collection. Each piece was carefully positioned to tell its story. Our story, though Daphne wouldn't know that yet. She's here, Tessa whispered, nodding toward the entrance. Daphne McGregor swept in wearing another designer dress, this time in deep purple. She moved through the space like she owned it, which, according to my research, she practically did. Tessa! Daphne air-kissed her cheeks. These new pieces are extraordinary. Who's the artist? This is Alea. Tessa gestured to me. The rising star I told you about. Daphne turned to me, her smile perfect and practiced. Your work is fascinating, especially this series. She gestured to the triptych before us. 3 panels showing a man's gradual transformation, from family man to shadow figure to stranger. It's about hidden lives, I explained, watching her face carefully. How well do we really know the people we love? Profound. She tilted her head. You must join us for the festival's opening gala. I'm hosting at my house. I wouldn't miss it. My phone buzzed. Wallace. I declined the call. Trouble? Daphne asked. Just my husband. He's been distant lately. Her expression softened with rehearsed sympathy. Men can be so complicated. That's why I've sworn off marriage. She laughed. Though there is someone special in my life now. Lucky man, I said, my voice steady despite my churning stomach. Speaking of men, Tessa interrupted, Jonathan's here. Wallace's boss approached us, his presence commanding attention. Ladies, he greeted, then stopped short when he saw me. Alea? What a surprise. Jonathan! Daphne hugged him warmly. You know Alia? She's Wallace's wife, he said slowly, realization dawning in his eyes as he looked between us. The color drained from Daphne's face. Wallace's? Yes, Wallace Allen? I smiled sweetly. Your star employee? The one who's been working late? Jonathan's expression hardened. Excuse us, ladies. He guided me away from the others. How long have you known? Long enough. I showed him the photos on my phone. Wallace and Daphne at restaurants, the real estate office, the charity gala. He's been lying to everyone, to me, to you, to her. Christ. Jonathan ran a hand through his hair. The Millbrook account was supposed to be 3 days a month, Max. Try 3 nights a week. I pulled out Sophia's letter. While our daughter writes to Santa, begging for her father to come home, Jonathan read the letter, his jaw tightening. This ends now. I'm calling a board meeting for Monday. Wait, I touched his arm. Not yet. The festival opening is Saturday. Let me handle this my way first. He studied me for a moment, then nodded. You're either brilliant or terrifying, possibly both. Back at home, Wallace was waiting in the garage. Where were you? Millbrook. I continued unpacking my art supplies. Setting up for the festival. You need to stop this. His voice shook slightly. Whatever you're planning. Planning? I turned to face him. Like you planned your life with Daphne? The house hunting? The jewelry shopping? It's not what you think. Really? Because I think you're living 2 lives. I think you're lying to everyone. Me, Sophia, Jonathan, Daphne. I picked up my sketchbook. Did you know she's hosting the festival opening at her house? She invited me personally today. Wallace grabbed my arm. Alea, please! Let go. My voice was ice. Or I'll call Jonathan right now and tell him exactly why his star employee has been falsifying overtime reports. He released me, stepping back. What do you want? I want you to keep playing your role. Go to work, come home late, live your lie. I opened my sketchbook to a new page. At least until Saturday. And then, I started sketching his face. Not the one he showed to the world, but the one I saw now. Desperate, cornered, afraid. Then everyone gets to see the truth. Through my art, through my eyes. I looked up from my drawing. How do you think Daphne will react when she realizes she's not the only one? When she sees herself in my paintings, the other woman who thought she was the only woman. Wallace left without another word. The garage door humming closed behind him. My phone lit up with a text from Tessa. Daphne's still here, asking questions about you. She's intrigued. I smiled, adding the final touches to my sketch. The festival couldn't come soon enough. My masterpiece was almost complete, and soon everyone would see the real picture, especially the woman in purple, who thought she'd found her perfect man. Daphne's mansion glittered under the evening sky as guests filtered in for the festival's opening gala. I adjusted my black dress, the one I'd bought specifically for tonight, and clutched my exhibition catalog like a weapon. Ready? Lorelei squeezed my arm. She'd insisted on coming for moral support. I have to be. I checked my phone. Wallace had texted earlier. Working late, don't wait up. Inside, the party was in full swing. Daphne held court in the living room, champagne in hand, while caterers weaved through the crowd with hors d'oeuvres. Allez! She waved me over. Everyone, this is the artist I've been raving about. Her exhibition is the highlight of the festival. I smiled, noting the photos on her mantel, her and Wallace at various events, his wedding ring conspicuously absent. Beautiful home, I said. Very intimate. Thank you. My boyfriend helped choose it. He has excellent taste. She glanced at her watch. He should be here soon, actually. Just working late. Isn't he always? I caught Jonathan's eye across the room. He nodded slightly. Ladies and gentlemen, Tessa called out, tapping her glass. If I could have your attention. As festival director, it's my pleasure to introduce our featured artist. Alea? I moved to the center of the room, my heart pounding. Thank you all for coming. My latest collection, Double Lives, explores the nature of deception and truth. I opened the exhibition catalog. Each piece tells a story. Some might find it familiar. The front door opened. Wallace walked in, freezing when he saw me. Darling! Daphne rushed to him. You're just in time. Alea was about to walk us through her work. Wallace's face went pale. Actually, I should... Please stay. I interrupted. This piece was inspired by you. The room fell silent as I unveiled the first canvas. It showed a man in a business suit, his shadow splitting into two distinct shapes, one of a father holding a child's hand, the other of a lover embracing another woman. I call it the perfect lie, I said, watching Daphne's expression shift from confusion to dawning horror. Notice how the man's wedding ring is visible in one shadow, but absent in the other. Wallace stepped forward. Alea, don't! The next piece, I continued, revealing another canvas, shows a child's letter to Santa. I used actual text. Dear Santa, I don't want any toys this year. Could you please make Daddy come home more? Daphne's champagne glass slipped from her hand, shattering on the marble floor. Wedding ring? Her voice trembled. Wallace, what is she talking about? He hasn't told you? I pulled out my phone, displaying our family photo. About his wife? His daughter? The life he goes home to when he's not here? The room erupted in whispers. Jonathan stepped forward, placing a hand on Wallace's shoulder. We should talk about those overtime reports, Wallace. You're married? Daphne's voice rose. All this time? The house hunting, the future we planned. I can explain, Wallace started, but Daphne cut him off. Explain! Explain! She turned to me. How long have you known? Since my daughter wrote that letter to Santa. I met her eyes. I thought you deserved to know the truth. He's been lying to all of us. Get out! Daphne pointed at Wallace. Both of you, get out of my house. Actually, Jonathan interjected, Wallace needs to come with me. The board will be very interested in his creative accounting. Wallace looked between us, his wife, his lover, his boss, then turned and fled. The door slammed behind him, leaving a deafening silence. Daphne sank onto her designer couch, mascara tracking down her cheeks. I had no idea, she whispered. All those nights he said he was working. He was with his family, I finished softly, until he wasn't. The party dissolved quickly after that. As guests filed out, Tessa approached with a small smile. Well, that's one way to make an artistic statement. Later that night, I found Sophia still awake, waiting in her bed. Mommy, where's Daddy? I sat beside her, pulling her close. Daddy made some bad choices, sweetheart. He hurt a lot of people. Is that why you're sad sometimes? I was sad. I stroked her hair. But I'm not anymore. Because I have you, and you're all I need. My phone buzzed with texts. From Jonathan about Monday's board meeting. From Tessa about exhibition sales. From Daphne asking to meet for coffee. But the one that caught my eye was from Wallace. I'm sorry, I never meant for any of this. I deleted it without responding. In Sophia's room, surrounded by her stuffed animals and innocent dreams, I realized some apologies come too late. Sometimes the only closure is the one you create yourself, stroke by stroke, truth by truth, until the picture is finally complete. The coffee shop was nearly empty when Daphne walked in, looking nothing like the polished socialite from her parties. Her eyes were red-rimmed, her designer clothes replaced by yoga pants and an oversized sweater. I almost didn't come, she said, sliding into the booth across from me. I almost didn't invite you. I pushed a latte toward her. But we need to talk. About Wallace? She laughed bitterly. What's left to say? I pulled out a manila envelope. These are copies of everything. Photos, bank statements, fake overtime reports. Jonathan's lawyers want to know if you'll testify about the money Wallace spent on your house down payment. He used company funds? Daphne's hand trembled as she took the envelope. God, I'm such an idiot. We both were. I watched her flip through the documents. He's been moving money around for months, setting up his perfect escape. The bell above the door chimed. Lorelei rushed in, waving a newspaper. Have you seen this? The business section headline read, Local Executive Under Investigation for Fraud. It's everywhere, Lorelei continued. Jonathan's not holding back. Daphne stood abruptly. I need some air. Outside, she leaned against the brick wall, lighting a cigarette with shaking hands. I sold my condo, she said quietly, to move in with him. He said we'd get married in the spring. While I was helping Sophia write wedding invitations for her dolls, I added. He watched our daughter play bride while planning a life with you. Sophia. Daphne's face crumpled. I didn't know about her. I swear, if I'd known. My phone buzzed. Wallace again. This time, I answered. Stop calling. My voice was steel. Please, he begged. Let me explain everything to Sophia. She needs to hear it from me. Like she needed to hear why you missed her school play? Her piano recital? I watched Daphne's expression change as she listened. She wrote to Santa because she couldn't talk to you. I'll make it right. No, you won't. I ended the call. Daphne crushed her cigarette under her heel. The festival committee wants to extend your exhibition. They say controversy sells. Are you okay with that? Display it all? Her eyes hardened. Every painting, every truth. Let everyone see what he did to us. Back home, I found Sophia at the kitchen table, drawing. Her picture showed 2 houses, one with her and me, another with Wallace and a question mark. Is this where Daddy lives now? She asked. I sat beside her, my heart breaking. Something like that. Jenny at school says her daddy lives in 2 houses. She gets extra presents at Christmas. The doorbell rang before I could respond. Through the window, I saw Wallace on the porch, clutching a stuffed animal. "Go to your room, sweetie," I said quickly. "Mommy needs to talk to Daddy." I opened the door but blocked the entrance. "You can't be here." "5 minutes," he pleaded. "Let me give this to Sophia. A teddy bear doesn't fix this." I stepped onto the porch, closing the door behind me. Jonathan called. "The board meeting's tomorrow." "I'll lose everything." "You already did." I crossed my arms. "The lawyers will contact you about the divorce." "Divorce?" His face fell. "But Sophia—" "Will understand someday why her mother chose truth over lies." I turned to go back inside. "Leave the bear. I'll tell her it's from Santa." "Alea, wait!" He grabbed my arm. "What about all our years together? Don't they mean anything?" "They meant everything." I pulled away. "That's why it hurts so much." Later that night, Lorelei came over with wine and takeout. We sat in my garage studio, surrounded by new canvases. "What's next?" she asked, watching me sketch. "The lawyers want to meet tomorrow after Jonathan's board meeting." I added shadows to my drawing. A little girl holding a teddy bear, standing between two worlds. Then the divorce proceedings begin. And the art? I looked at my latest piece. A woman emerging from shattered glass, each fragment reflecting a different truth. The art stays. I picked up my brush. It's time to paint my next chapter. My phone lit up with a text from Daphne. "Meeting with Jonathan's lawyers in the morning. Bringing everything. He doesn't get to win this one." I showed Lorelei the message. "Looks like I'm not the only one choosing truth." "Good." She raised her wine glass. "To new beginnings." "To new beginnings," I echoed. But my eyes drifted to Sophia's latest drawing on my workbench. In bright crayon colors, she'd drawn herself holding hands with me, both of us smiling. Above us, in her wobbly handwriting, me and Mommy's happy ending. I picked up my brush again, dipping it in bright yellow. The color of hope, of morning sun, of fresh starts. Sometimes the most beautiful art comes from the deepest pain, and I was finally ready to paint something new. The corporate boardroom felt colder than I remembered from the company Christmas party. Jonathan sat at the head of the table, flanked by lawyers. Wallace slumped in his chair, his usual confidence shattered. "The evidence is conclusive," Jonathan's lawyer announced, spreading documents across the polished table. "Falsified overtime reports, misappropriated company funds, unauthorized use of corporate accounts." Daphne sat across from me, her testimony notes arranged neatly before her. She hadn't looked at Wallace once. "Mr. Allen?" Jonathan leaned forward. "Would you like to explain the $100,000 transferred to a private account in Millbrook?" Wallace's lawyer whispered something in his ear, but he shook his head. "It was for the house. For Daphne and me. While maintaining your primary residence with your wife and daughter?" Jonathan's voice could have frozen hell. "Using company money? I can pay it back. That's not the point." Jonathan slid forward a stack of papers. "This is your termination agreement. Sign it, and we won't press criminal charges." The pen trembled in Wallace's hand as he signed. Outside the boardroom, he tried to approach me. "Don't." I held up my hand. "The divorce papers are being delivered today. At least let me explain to Sophia." "You mean the daughter you were ready to abandon?" Daphne's voice cut through the corridor. "The one who wrote to Santa because she couldn't reach her own father?" Wallace stepped back as if slapped. "I never meant to get caught," she finished. "Save it for your lawyers." Back at home, Sophia was waiting with Lorelei, showing off her latest art project. A family tree with branches spreading in different directions. "Look, Mommy!" She pointed to the drawing. "Ms. Roberts said families can look different, and that's okay." I hugged her tight, breathing in her strawberry shampoo scent. "That's absolutely right, baby." The doorbell rang. It was the courier with the divorce papers. As I signed for them, another car pulled up. Wallace. "Sophia, go help Aunt Lorelei with dinner," I said quickly. "But Daddy's here." She moved toward the door. "Not now, sweetie, please." Wallace walked up the driveway as Sophia disappeared inside, his shoulders sagging under his untucked shirt. You got the papers? He asked. I held up the envelope. Just arrived. I lost everything today. His voice cracked. The job, the house in Millbrook, Daphne. Don't take Sophia too. You took yourself away from Sophia long before any of this. I thrust the papers at him. Sign them. Then we can discuss supervised visitation. Supervised? He recoiled. I'm her father. A father who was ready to start a new family and abandon his daughter. I kept my voice low, aware of Sophia possibly listening. You don't get to walk away and then come back on your terms. The kitchen window slid open. Daddy? Sophia called out. Are you coming to dinner? Wallace looked at me pleadingly. Not tonight, sweetheart, I called back. Daddy's just picking up some papers. But I made a picture for him. I watched the pain flash across Wallace's face. Good. Let him feel a fraction of what Sophia felt every time he chose his other life over her. I'll sign, he whispered, taking the papers. But please, don't keep her from me. You did that yourself. I turned to go inside. Have your lawyer contact mine about visitation arrangements. Later that night, after Sophia was asleep, I sat in my studio staring at my latest painting, a phoenix rising from scattered photographs and torn documents. My phone buzzed with a text from Daphne. Just sold the ring he gave me, using the money to start fresh in Seattle. Another message popped up, this time from Jonathan. Board approved your art installation for the lobby. When can you start? The garage door hummed open. Lorelei walked in with 2 glasses of wine. Sophia asleep? I nodded. Finally. She wanted to know if Daddy would come to her art show next week. What did you tell her? The truth. That sometimes people we love make choices that hurt us, but it doesn't mean we stop loving them. I picked up my brush. We just love them differently. Speaking of differently, Lorelei grinned. Tessa called. The gallery in New York wants to feature your Double Lives series. I looked at my latest work, then at Sophia's family tree drawing pinned to the wall. Both told stories of broken things being remade into something new, something honest. Tell them yes, I said, dipping my brush in paint the color of sunrise. It's time to show the world what rising from ashes really looks like. My phone lit up one last time. Wallace. Signed papers being delivered tomorrow. I'm sorry for everything. I deleted the message without responding. Some apologies don't need answers. Sometimes silence speaks louder than any words could. Instead, I picked up my brush and kept painting, adding light to the darkness, turning pain into art, making beauty from the broken pieces of what used to be. The New York gallery buzzed with opening night energy as Sophia bounced between my paintings, proudly explaining them to anyone who would listen. This one's about Daddy's big mistake, she told an elderly couple, pointing to the split-frame piece. But this one's about Mommy being strong. She gestured to the phoenix painting. Sophia, I called out, let the nice people explore on their own. But I'm helping! She twirled in her new party dress, the one she'd picked specially for tonight. Lorelei appeared with champagne. The Times art critic is here, and you'll never guess who just walked in. Through the gallery's glass doors, I saw Wallace hesitate before entering. He looked different, older somehow. Sophia spotted him too. Daddy! She ran to him, stopping just short of hugging him. You came. I promised, didn't I? He knelt to her level. Your mom's art is important. Did you see my picture? She pointed to a small frame nestled between my larger pieces. Her family tree drawing, now part of the exhibition. It's beautiful. His voice cracked slightly. Just like you. I approached them, glass in hand. You're early for pickup. Actually, he straightened up, I was hoping to see the show, if that's okay. Before I could respond, Jonathan's voice boomed across the gallery. Alea! The Tokyo Gallery called. They want the entire collection. Wallace's eyes widened. Tokyo? Life goes on, I said simply. People rebuild. Sophia tugged at my dress. Can I show Daddy the surprise painting? Surprise painting? Wallace asked. I nodded to Sophia. Go ahead. She led us to a canvas covered in black cloth. This one's new, she announced. Mommy finished it yesterday. I pulled away the cloth, revealing a portrait of Sophia sitting at her art table, surrounded by drawings. Through a window behind her, two separate scenes played out. One showing me in my studio, another showing Wallace at his supervised visits, both of us watching our daughter create. Hi, it's called New Normal, I explained, because sometimes broken things can't be fixed, but they can be transformed. Wallace stared at the painting, his hands trembling slightly. You captured her perfectly. That's what mothers do. I turned to Sophia. Sweetie, why don't you show Daddy your art corner? The gallery set up a special space for kids to draw. As they walked away, Daphne appeared beside me. He looks terrible. Seattle suits you better anyway, I replied, noting her renewed confidence. The tech startup's taking off. She smiled. Thank you, by the way, for the wake-up call we both needed. Across the gallery, Sophia was showing Wallace her latest drawings. He sat beside her, carefully keeping the court-mandated distance, learning to love her in this new way. Your next series, Tessa joined us. What's it about? Healing, I said, watching my daughter teach her father how to draw a proper phoenix. But not the kind that erases scars, the kind that turns them into strength. The gallery director clinked his glass for attention. Ladies and gentlemen, a toast to our featured artist, whose Double Lives series has captured international attention. I barely heard the rest of his speech. Instead, I watched Sophia drawing, her small hands creating something new from blank paper, just as I had done with blank canvases and a broken heart. Later, as Wallace prepared to leave, Sophia hugged him goodbye. See you Saturday, Daddy? Wouldn't miss it. He turned to me. The painting, it's incredible. Life is, I replied, when you're honest about it. After he left, Sophia and I stood before New Normal, her hand in mine. Are you still sad, Mommy? No, baby. I squeezed her hand. I'm strong, like the phoenix in your drawings. Like us, she corrected. The gallery slowly emptied, but requests for interviews and international showings piled up on my phone. Lorelei was already talking about hiring an agent. Through the windows, I could see the New York skyline glittering like possibilities. Ready to go home? I asked Sophia. She shook her head, pulling out her sketchbook. One more drawing. I watched her work, adding colors and shapes until a picture emerged. Two phoenixes, one big and one small, flying together toward a rising sun. It's us, she explained, making everything beautiful again. I hung her drawing next to New Normal, where it belonged. Proof that even the smallest artists know that life's masterpiece isn't in the perfection of the original sketch, but in how beautifully you redesign it when things go wrong. The gallery lights dimmed, leaving just enough glow to illuminate our reflection in the window. Mother and daughter, standing amid the art we'd made from truth, ready to paint whatever came next.